Chapter 526. Intoxicated Bonechin, Yin only used $1 million to buy the option to attack the Azure Thundersword Academy. The 10 people from the Azure Thundersword Academy stood in the middle of the martial field. They were not surprised to see Qin Yun, Tian Ruling, and Yu Wulan arrive. They seemed to have been prepared. They lined up in a row with their arms crossed over their chests. Their faces were calm, and they had disdainful sneers on their faces. In the morning, Long Yufan and the Long family's elders were killed by Qin Yun and company. Right now, many sword academies were filled with fear towards this common saber academy that only had 3 people. However, not only were the 10 disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy not afraid, they were actually very confident, as if they could successfully defend. Their mysterious confidence also made many people feel puzzled. Especially in the morning, those who had seen the power of the Common Saber Academy did not believe that the Azure Thundersword Academy would be able to defend successfully. It seems that we didn't torture you too much back then. You actually chose us in the afternoon. A middle-aged man from the Azure Thundersword Academy said with a sneer. You guys look pretty confident. Tian Ruling was expressionless as she took out her cold cloud saber. The captain of the Azure Thundersword Academy laughed. It's not that we're confident, but we never thought that you could win. I admit that you have some ability to defeat the Heavenly Sword Academy, but we are not the Heavenly Sword Academy. This was even more puzzling. This was because the disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy all seemed to have a card up their sleeves. One had to know that in the morning, the Heavenly Sword Academy had a martial master of the spirit martial realm, and they still suffered a crushing defeat. Jian Lang opened the barrier and sternly warned, the defenders must not retaliate. If you retaliate, even if you're not killed by the attackers, I will severely punish you. In the morning, because something had happened too suddenly, Jian Lang was unable to react. This time, he didn't want to see anything else happen. Begin. Following Jian Lang's shout, the disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy immediately spread out across the martial field. Moreover, these disciples were still dodging everywhere, like headless flies flying around. As a result, if he wanted to attack these people, he would have to spend some time chasing them. Big sister, second sister, how do you think we should deal with this situation? Qin Yun and the 2 girls stood in the middle and frowned slightly as they looked at the people running around. There are 2 ways. One is for me to release the power of frost and seal them in ice. You and Wulan will quickly finish them off. The second is for us to chase after them and kill as many as we can. Tian Ruling gripped her cold cloud saber tightly as she looked at the white-clothed swordsmen running around. The second one, the first method, will consume too much of your energy. Qin Yun was worried that there would be an unexpected situation. If Tian Ruling did not have enough strength to deal with it, it would be extremely dangerous. Just like before, when the elders of the Long family suddenly attacked, Tian Ruling reacted quickly. All right, let's lock onto our targets. Let's go. Tian Ruling had already found her target and quickly flew out. After Qin Yun and Yu Wulan locked onto their targets, they also rushed out. Just as they were about to attack, they realized something was wrong. Qin Yun's expression changed slightly as he felt his body go limp. He quickly looked at Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan and saw that their expressions were somewhat ugly. Poison. Tian Ruling hurriedly shouted, there's a colorless and odorless poison gas here that can make us feel powerless. The saber that Yu Wulan was holding tightly suddenly fell to the ground, and her entire body fell limply to the ground. Tian Ruling's body was relatively strong, so she could still stand. However, the cold cloud saber that weighed over 10,000 pounds had also fallen to the ground. It's really poisonous. Qin Yun shouted as well. It was difficult for him to even speak. Don't talk nonsense. If there's a poisonous gas here, how could we be fine? The middle-aged captain gave a low snort. I think you guys ate something and got poisoned. You must have taken the antidote long ago. Tian Ruling's voice gradually weakened. Right now, only Qin Yun was strong enough. He hurriedly hugged Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan and placed them together. Jian Lang also found it strange. He looked at the people from the medicine hall and said, fellow brothers of the medicine hall, go in and check the situation." The barrier immediately closed, and the people from the medicine hall hurriedly walked in. Jian Lang and Dao Fan also walked into the martial field. They sniffed the air, but did not discover anything. It's the intoxicating bone flower poison. This kind of poison can soften a person's bones. If it is not detoxified in time, the bones will gradually melt. An old man from a medicine hall revealed a shocked expression. How they get poisoned like this? Who poisoned them, and how do they do it? Dao Fan's face turned gloomy as he looked at the disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy. Qin Yun has so many Dao artifacts. Everyone has a motive to poison them. Dao Fan, you are with them. It is very likely that you were the one who poisoned them. The teacher of the Azure Thundersword Academy said with a sneer. Jian Lang sighed. With such a thing happening, we can only conclude that the Dao Fan Academy has lost. No, let's continue. Qin Yun said resolutely. Qin Yun, if you don't suppress the poison in time, the Dao bones that you have painstakingly cultivated will be greatly affected. The old man from the medicine hall said, "It's fine, I can suppress the poison." Qin Yun looked coldly at the 10 disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy and said with a cold voice, "I will definitely find out who poisoned us." He looked at Jian Lang and said, "Hall Master Jian, open the barrier. Let's continue." Dao Fan asked worriedly, "Qin Yun, is this really all right?" "Elder Fan, don't worry." Qin Yun forced a smile. Everyone hurriedly left the spirit formation martial field. Qin Yun quietly released the little jade rabbit and allowed her to hide under his clothes. He began to absorb the poison in his body. The little jade rabbit absorbed the poison very quickly and helped Qin Yun clear the poison in an instant. "Big Brother Yun, there are traces of poison gas left in the sky above this barrier." The little jade rabbit sent a voice transmission to Qin Yun. "Someone poisoned this place just now." They controlled it very precisely. After you were poisoned, they dispersed the poison gas. When Qin Yun heard that, his expression turned even gloomier. He asked, "How long will this poison stay in the body before it causes harm?" "One day later." After a day, the Dao bones will begin to soften. The little jade rabbit said again, "All right, I'll have to trouble you." Qin Yun stood up and pretended to check on Tian Ruling's condition. Then he secretly stuffed the little jade rabbit into her hands and transmitted his voice to her to hide the little jade rabbit so that no one would discover it. Tian Ruling hid the little jade rabbit under her clothes and allowed it to absorb the poison in her body. She felt her poison being sucked away bit by bit and was extremely surprised. Everyone found it strange. What was Qin Yun planning? He was already poisoned to such a serious extent, yet he still continued. "Qin Yun, all of you have been poisoned. Why are you still so persistent?" A young man sneered and said, "You can only blame yourself for making too many enemies. It's normal for people to take revenge on you in secret. I already know who poisoned us. I will cripple all of them." Qin Yun's eyes suddenly flashed with a ruthless glint. Whoosh! The dragon-resisting boots on his feet exploded with a wave of air, and in an instant, he flew in front of the young man. The white-clothed youth did not expect the poisoned Qin Yun to be so fast. Therefore, he was not on guard at all. Qin Yun's saber slashed down with great force and smoothly chopped off the young man's arm. "Ah, weren't you poisoned?" The young man immediately screamed. "Even if I'm poisoned, it's more than enough to deal with trash like you." Qin Yun gritted his teeth. His voice was filled with hatred as he punched out and smashed into the young man's abdomen. Boom! Qin Yun's fist carried an incomparably powerful, vibrating power. It pierced through the young man's abdomen and shattered the Dao core. The martial spirit and a large amount of energy within the Dao core were instantly scattered, forming a howling gale. "My Dao core, it's gone. My martial spirit has been torn apart." The young man spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground, screaming in grief and despair. Qin Yun fiercely looked at the captain. When the middle-aged captain saw how terrifying Qin Yun's strength was, he was scared out of his wits. Just as he was about to say something, he realized that Qin Yun had already arrived. Furthermore, his saber was slashing down. The middle-aged captain hurriedly brandished his sword to block, Clang! The sword was cut in half, and Qin Yun's saber landed on the middle-aged man's shoulder. Ah, why do you still have such great strength? The middle-aged captain was incomparably terrified. Because evil cannot defeat good. Qin Yun roared angrily as his saber danced wildly. Although it was a very ordinary saber technique, it contained an incomparably powerful force. The saber that he chopped down was fast, ruthless, and flawless. It was hard to block it. Ah! The middle-aged captain cried out miserably again. His other shoulder had also been split open. You want to use poison against me? Trash! As Qin Yun spoke, his fist produced a roar as it tore through the middle-aged man's abdomen and exited his body. Hoo! The Tao core was broken, and the power inside leaked out like a violent gale. The other 8 disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy were instantly dumbfounded. Just now, they had clearly seen Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan paralyzed on the ground. But Qin Yun was completely fine. Just as they were in shock, a cold aura filled with endless killing intent pressed down from the sky. Tian Ruling flew over, and with a few slashes, she chopped off the hands and feet of the 2 middle-aged swordsmen. The poison Tian Ruling had actually recovered. Poison trash. You will be crippled for the rest of your lives. Tian Ruling was infuriated to the extreme. The cold cloud saber in her hand released the anger in her heart. Waves of oppressive cold air turned into streams of killing intent. Tian Ruling's cold cloud saber howled with a biting cold wind. Wherever it went, blood splattered everywhere. The disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy had their hands and feet cut off by the long and large cold saber. They wriggled on the ground like human sticks. Chapter 5:27. Rock, paper, scissors. There was still some time left for an incense stick to burn, but the Azure Thundersword Academy had lost. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. After the barrier closed, Qin Yun asked an old man from the medicine hall, "Senior, if they had taken the antidote, would it be possible to check their blood?" Of course. The antidote to the intoxicating bone flower poison must be dissolved in the blood. Furthermore, the antidote's medicinal strength is very strong, so it's very easy to see. As the old man from the medicine hall spoke, he came to the side of a pool of blood and examined it. There were more than 10 onlookers in the medicine hall, including young and middle-aged people. Right now, they were like students following their teacher to check the blood of the Azure Thundersword Academy disciples. The blood on their bodies has traces of taking the antidote, and it's a large dose at that. They had taken a large dose of antidote beforehand, so if they were poisoned, they could quickly detoxify it. The old man from the medicine hall said with a grave expression, "It seems like they were the ones who poisoned it." It was indeed the disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy who had poisoned it. It was teacher who ordered us to do it. A middle-aged man cried out. The other disciples of the Azure Thundersword Academy, who could still speak, also began to reveal their teacher. They even said that the poison was given by that teacher. The teacher of the Azure Thundersword Academy said angrily, "You actually joined forces to frame me. I have painstakingly taught you for so many years in vain." Jin Lang gave the 2 golden-robed elders a meaningful glance, and the teacher was taken away. "Qin Yun, how did you cure the poison? You can't eat pills during the offensive and defensive battles." An old man from the Yang family walked over and questioned. The people of the Yang family were elders of the Sabersword Villa and had quite a high status. Their words carried quite a bit of weight. "That's because I have a special spirit artifact that can absorb the poison in my body," Qin Yun replied coldly. "What spirit artifact? Take it out and let's see." The old man from the Yang family extended his hand. "Here you go." Qin Yun took out a black bead and placed it in the old man's palm. The old man from the Yang family took a look, and his palm immediately turned black. He was so shocked that he hurriedly threw the bead to the ground. "Qin Yun, are you trying to kill me?" He hurriedly removed the poison from his palm. "You were the one who wanted to see my spirit artifact." Qin Yun picked up the black bead and snorted. "All right, go back and rest. You still have to continue attacking tomorrow." The Sword Hall Lord also felt very tired because they had two sword academies that had severely broken the rules during the defensive battle. Although the position of the Hall of Sabers was low, they had never broken the rules when it came to defense. This time, the Sword Hall had lost. Qin Yun and company were also very tired as they hurried back to the Common Saber Academy. After returning, Yuan returned the cute little jade rabbit to Qin Yun. She and Tian Ruling only found it magical and did not ask any further questions. The inferior grade Common Saber Academy had once again taken down a superior grade Sword Academy. Furthermore, it was done under the condition of being poisoned. For 2 rounds in a row, the Academy had broken the rules. The Azure Thunder Sword Academy had even used poison. This was unexpected for all the disciples of the Saber Sword Villa because the consequences were extremely serious. Of course, the disciples of the Azure Thunder Sword Academy had also been crippled by Qin Yun. The next morning, Qin Yun used 1,000,000 purple coins to buy the option to attack the Sharp Brilliant Sword Academy. The 11 middle-aged men of the Sharp Brilliant Sword Academy were in the spirit formation martial field of their own academy. When they saw Qin Yun, Tian Ruling, and Yu Wulan arrive with a murderous aura, their legs immediately went soft. Yesterday, the people from the Sharp Brilliant Sword Academy naturally knew about the matter between the Heavenly Sword Academy and the Azure Thunder Sword Academy. At that moment, they were filled with regret. They should not have thought about the bounty and instead thought of crippling Qin Yun and company. At the start of the attack, the 11 middle-aged men of the Sharp Brilliant Sword Academy were all defending with incomparable fear. In the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, the attack stopped. Back then, when the 11 people from the Sharp Brilliant Sword Academy attacked the Common Saber Academy, they constantly mocked Qin Yun and company. Furthermore, he was filled with confidence, swearing to cripple Qin Yun and company to obtain the bounty. When the 11 of them attacked, they used extremely vicious attacks to besiege Qin Yun, Tian Ruling, and Yu Wulan. Tian Ruling remembered this scene very clearly. You attacked us. If it was a normal sparring session, then it would have been fine. As for all of you, you're all here for the bounty. You swore to cripple our Dao cores and turn us into cripples. All of you reap what you sow. Now, you finally reaped what you sowed. Tian Ruling's voice was bone-chilling. When everyone saw the disciples of the Sharp Brilliant Sword Academy being crippled, they immediately felt that the Long and Yang families were all evil spirits. If it wasn't for the bounty, they wouldn't have incited so many disciples to deal with Qin Yun and company. Furthermore, during the examination, it was the Yang and Long families who provoked them first. Tian Ruling and Qin Yun had only resisted in order to protect themselves. The disciples of the Yang and Long families were the source of all evil. After taking down 3 high-grade sword academies in a row, the Common Saber Academy had obtained 24 points and was still ranked first. In the afternoon, Yu Wulan, Tian Ruling, and Qin Yun followed Dao Fan to the plaza of the Saber Hall. The disciples of the Saber Hall all revealed looks of reverence as they watched the people from the Common Saber Academy walk in. Even the disciples of the high-grade Saber Academy were looking at them with respect. No one would compete with the Common Saber Academy for the right to choose, so Qin Yun could obtain the right to choose for 1,000,000. This time, we will choose the Genius Sword Academy. Qin Yun said. The Genius Sword Academy was an inferior grade academy. Even if they won, they would only get 2 points. With Qin Yun and company's strength, attacking the high-grade Sword Academy would not be a problem at all. They would even be able to obtain 8 points. The Genius Sword Academy had Jian Meng and another disciple of the Jian family. The other 2 were Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian, so they were extremely powerful and were currently ranked second. Although they were ranked second, they were still a few points away from the first Common Saber Academy. Qin Yun, the Genius Sword Academy's Jian Meng, is not easy to deal with. Xiong Dao hurriedly said, "Are you sure you want to attack the Genius Sword Academy?" A middle-aged man from the Saber Academy said, "Not only is Jian Meng difficult to deal with, Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian are also very troublesome. It will be difficult for us to break through them." Qin Yun, If you want to attack the Genius Sword Academy, you will need to put in a lot of effort to defeat those two sword cultivators. Many people were talking about how terrifying the Genius Sword Academy was. Qin Yun was not surprised. Jian Meng's origin sword was a heaven-defying existence to begin with. It was equivalent to a Xian artifact. Let's go. Qin Yun had already made his decision. This was what they had discussed last night. Dao Fan walked in front and led his disciples to the Genius Sword Academy. Although the Genius Sword Academy was an inferior grade academy, its environment was not bad. The Spirit Formation Martial Field was also a 100 meters wide circular plaza. Jian Meng had his hands behind his back as he stood straight in the middle of the Spirit Formation Martial Field. He was like a sword that revealed its sharpness. The moment Qin Yun entered the Genius Martial Arts Academy, he felt Jian Meng's dense sword intent. Although Jian Meng was blind, his five senses were very strong. He immediately knew that Qin Yun had arrived. The sword intent on his body immediately disappeared. Tian Ruling sensed that Jian Meng's sword intent had disappeared and knew that he was expressing his goodwill. Although Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian were expressionless, they were somewhat worried in their hearts. Yang Mutian, Long Wuchen, long time no see. You look good, Yu Wulan said with a charming smile, but her eyes were filled with killing intent. The two of you have placed a bounty on me. You really think highly of me. Yang Mutian, you knelt down once before. Don't tell me you still haven't learned your lesson? Tian Ruling took out her cold cloud saber and carried it on her shoulder. She looked very domineering. Yu Wulan, Tian Ruling, you two bitches, don't be arrogant. I guarantee that you will die miserably. Yang Mutian was also infuriated as he gnashed his teeth and said, They're my big sister and second sister. If you scold them, I will smash your mouth in a moment. Qin Yun said coldly. Qin Yun, you can only be arrogant in Saber Sword City. If you dare to leave the city, you will definitely die without a burial ground. Long Wuchen said with a sneer, You have killed two more people from our Long family. This has completely offended all the disciples of the Long family. Qin Yun shook his head and sighed. It was clearly your Long family who caused the trouble first. If it wasn't for the fact that you guys were arrogant and unreasonable and wanted to steal our things, how could this have happened? Tian Ruling sneered. The disciples of the Long family were originally a group of bandits. Relying on the powerful family behind them, they burned, killed, and plundered everywhere, doing many heartless things. Your Long and Yang families are used to being arrogant. Now that someone is rebelling, you guys can't take it anymore? Yu Wulan sneered. Don't worry, this kind of resistance will continue until your clan is exterminated. Many martial artists knew very well what kind of character the Long and Yang families had in the Spirit Desolate Land. However, they usually only dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. After all, these two families had disciples in the 5 Great Star sects and the 5 Great Immortal sects. They were not to be trifled with. Let's begin. Jianlang only hoped that there wouldn't be any problems with this attack. The barrier was opened. There were a total of 9 disciples in the Genius Sword Academy. After they began, they dispersed one after another. This was also the defensive method of many sword academies, each taking care of themselves. Our targets are only Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian, but there are 3 of us. What should we do? Yu Wulan smiled tenderly and said, Xiao Yun, I don't want to give second sister to you. I want to make a move too. I want to teach them a lesson too. Tian Ruling also said, What should we do? I want to fight too. Qin Yun frowned. Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian immediately flew into a rage. They had never been looked down upon like this before. The onlookers didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The 3 people from the Common Saber Academy were actually fighting to deal with Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian. He made it sound as if anyone could easily kill these 2 people. Let's play rock, paper, scissors. The one who wins first gets to choose. Qin Yun said. All right. Yu Wulan hurriedly nodded. Rock, paper, scissors. Tian Ruling shouted coldly. Tian Ruling used scissors while Qin Yun and Yu Wulan used paper. I'll win first. I want to hit Long Wuchen. Tian Ruling said happily. Following that, it was time for Qin Yun and Yu Wulan to play rock, paper, scissors. Qin Yun's rock won against Yu Wulan's scissors. Yang Mutian is mine, Qin Yun said with a chuckle. Humph. Yu Wulan looked unhappy as she pouted. The most unhappy ones were Yang Mutian and Long Wuchen. In order to deal with them, Qin Yun and the two women had actually used rock, paper, scissors. After Yang Mutian's long sword was cut in half, the front of his body was also struck by the violent saber force, creating a large hole. If it wasn't for the fact that Yang Mutian had a good royal great spirit armor to protect his body, the force of the saber strike just now would have pierced through his body. Yang Mutian, say goodbye to martial arts. Qin Yun flew over and punched Yang Mutian's abdomen. Stop. At the same time, an old man from the Yang clan roared. However, Qin Yun's fist had already reached Yang Mutian's abdomen. Boom! A deafening sound was accompanied by a gust of wind. Qin Yun was also forced to retreat as he said in astonishment, "Pill protection talisman?" When his fist struck, he sensed a strong force rushing out from Yang Mutian's dantian. Xiao Yun, their dantian is very strong. It's hard to break it. Although Tian Ruling had struck Long Wuchen and caused him to be covered in wounds, Long Wuchen's Dao core was not shattered. They have pill protection talismans. That is a type of talisman that protects the Dao core and dantian. This kind of defensive strength should be a Xian talisman. Qin Yun said with a frown. This Xian talisman is inside their dantian, so it can't be detected by the barrier. When Tian Ruling heard this, she cursed a few times and attacked even more ferociously. With a few slashes, she cut off Long Wuchen's arm. As for Yang Mutian, his entire body was covered in saber wounds as he constantly cursed Qin Yun. The old man from the Yang family, who was watching the battle from the outside, also kept on threatening him. This infuriated Qin Yun even more. Ah! Yang Mutian cried out loudly. One of his arms had been cut off. Qin Yun, you will die a horrible death. When the old man from the Yang family saw this, he roared angrily. Qin Yun tried a few times, but was unable to break Yang Mutian's Dao core. He could only attack even more ferociously. Not long after, Yang Mutian and Long Wuchen were beaten up by Qin Yun and Tian Ruling to the point of being drenched in blood. It was a tragic sight. In the beginning, they were very arrogant, but now they were in such a miserable state. This caused everyone to sigh endlessly. I want to completely cripple them. Qin Yun stepped on Yang Mutian's abdomen as his fist gathered a ferocious force. Just as he was about to throw a punch, an incomparably terrifying force suddenly attacked him. Boom! A purplish gold bolt of lightning, as large as a water jar, descended from the sky and struck Qin Yun's body. Boo! Qin Yun roared angrily as smoke rose from his body. Suddenly, 3 people slowly descended from the sky. Everyone was alarmed. Of the 3 people, 2 were middle-aged and 1 was a young man. They were all dressed in white, and there was a star tattooed on their foreheads. These were people from the Sword Star sect, and the one who had attacked Qin Yun through the barrier was an official Xian Wu martial monarch. If not for the barrier's protection, Qin Yun would have been severely injured or even killed by that strike. Arrogant thing. It's just a simple offensive and defensive battle. Is there a need to be so ruthless? A slightly plump middle-aged man coldly looked at Jian Lang with an angry voice. Close the barrier and get him out to heal his injuries. Bullshit. These 2 fellows have always wanted to kill us. If they were strong enough, they would have been even more ruthless than us. When Tian Ruling saw Qin Yun being struck by lightning, she was infuriated. Shut up. The middle-aged man was also infuriated. He hurriedly brandished his sword and shot out a bolt of purple gold lightning. Jian Lang hurriedly flew over and summoned his origin sword. With a swing of his sword, he opened the bolt of lightning and said coldly, "On account that you are a senior, I will not pursue the matter of you attacking Qin Yun. If you attack again, don't blame me for being impolite." The moment the origin sword in Jian Lang's hand appeared, everyone's swords began to tremble slightly. Even the origin sword in Jian Mang's hand was trembling. Close the barrier. I want to save someone. When a middle-aged man saw Jianlang attack, his expression changed slightly. Yang Yinxing, we are currently in an offensive and defensive battle. Jianlang's attitude seemed to be very resolute as he refused to open the barrier. Of the 3 people from the Sword Star sect, one was a Xian realm martial monarch, one was a spirit realm martial master, and the other was a martial artist at the 9th level martial Dao. The Xian realm martial monarch was once a disciple of the Saber Sword Villa. Otherwise, Jianlang would not have addressed him as senior. Yang Yinxing's sudden appearance was obviously to protect Yang Mutian. Jianlang, this is the token given to me by the old villa master. Yang Yinxing took out a golden token. It was engraved with the pattern of a sword and saber. Furthermore, it flickered with light and emitted a terrifying sword aura. Just the sword aura of this token caused everyone to tremble. Don't tell me you don't even recognize the old villa master? Yang Yinxing said with a sneer. If you don't recognize him, then I'll clean up the sect for Saber Sword Villa. Jianlang looked at the token and gritted his teeth. He could only open the barrier. After the barrier was opened, Yang Yinxing brought his men in to check on Yang Mutian's injuries. Qin Yun, you bastard. Yang Yinxing glared at Qin Yun angrily. The people from your Yang family are a bunch of beasts. Tian Ruling said angrily. Damned woman, it's not your turn to interrupt. Shut up. A cold and arrogant youth from the Sword Star sect coldly snorted. His movement technique was extremely fast as he flashed in front of Tian Ruling and slapped her. Pow! Tian Ruling was sent flying by the slap and landed on the ground. Blood still flowed from the corner of her mouth. Qin Yun was infuriated as he slashed at the young man with his saber. All of you stop. Whoever attacks again will die. Jianlang was about to lose control when he released his sword aura. Like a huge mountain, it pressed down on everyone present. He hit someone, what about it? Qin Yun felt his body become incomparably heavy as he looked at the young man and roared angrily. Yang Yinxing sneered. If you don't accept it, then fight him to the death. Let's fight. Tian Ruling wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. Her eyes were red with anger, and killing intent seemed to surge out from her eyes. When Qin Yun saw that Tian Ruling's injuries were not light, he naturally would not let her go on stage. Yu Wulan supported Tian Ruling and said softly, Big sister, just let little Yun attack. That guy's not easy to deal with. The injured Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian were carried out of the martial field. If you kill Qin Yun, our Yang family will give you 500 million purple coins. An old man from the Yang family shouted loudly. The cold and arrogant youth became even more pleased with himself. His eyes were filled with viciousness as he held a sharp sword tightly and looked at Qin Yun. Yang Yinxing said coldly to Jianlang, Jianlang, I will use the old Manor Lord's token to order you to open the barrier. Jianlang's expression was ice-cold to the extreme. With anger, he slowly opened the barrier. Dao Fan stood beside Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling, worried that they would be attacked by the people from the Sword Star sect. Jianlang, look at the token in my hand and listen carefully. Other than the old Manor Lord or the Manor Lord, no one can close the barrier and interfere in the life and death battle inside. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences. Only when one person dies inside will the barrier be closed, and the person inside will be allowed to come out. Yang Yinxing's voice was filled with majesty and arrogance as he looked at Jianlang. Don't worry, I will definitely do as you say. Jianlang was very displeased and hoped that Qin Yun would win. Zhua Yisong, you are the most talented of my disciples. You are also the #1 swordsman of the Sword Star sect. You must kill this guy. As long as you kill him, our Yang family will definitely reward you with 500 million purple coins. Yang Yinxing's face was cold as he looked at Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan. At this time, Xiong Dao had also arrived. After knowing what had happened, he was also very angry. He stood together with Dao Fan to protect Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan. The Sword Star sect had suddenly sent someone. Furthermore, it was a powerful figure of the Yang family. He even had the old Manor Lord's token in his hand. This was something that many people did not expect. Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian were being treated by the people from Medicine Hall. They had already gradually recovered, and their faces were filled with resentment as they looked at Qin Yun in the martial field. Chapter 529. Duel of Arms. The Sword Star sect is one of the 5 major star sects, and its strength is also very strong. Among the 5 major star sects, it was one of the best. Zhuo Yisong was the strongest martial Dao cultivator in the Sword Star sect. That meant that he definitely had something very powerful about him. Qin Yun, your reputation is truly not small. Not only did he slap Lu Chongsheng, he is also wanted by the Long and Yang families. Zhuo Yisong is obviously jealous of Qin Yun's fame. Qin Yun did not care about this so-called fame at all. In the Spirit Desolate, there were definitely many upper echelons of the sects who knew about his matter in the Martial Desolate. That was the most sensational news. My battle to the death with you has already begun. Don't talk nonsense. Qin Yun took out a saber and said coldly, because you're going to die soon, I want to talk to you more. Since you're in a hurry to die, I'll send you on your way. The long sword in Zhuo Yisong's hand shone with profound runes. It was actually a profound sword. After all, this was a life-and-death battle, not a spar where weapons could be freely used. Qin Yun, take out your Dao artifact. Zhuo Yisong said with a sneer. I'm not afraid of your Dao artifact. Zhuo Yisong was only using a Xian artifact, but he was not afraid of a Dao artifact, which surprised many people. Qin Yun was not surprised because he could tell that the Xian sword in Zhuo Yisong's hand had been refined to an extremely mature level. If the runes on the weapon are very bright, it means that the weapon has been refined very well. The profound weapon in Zhuo Yisong's hands was 70 to 80% like this. It belonged to the very good kind. If the Dao artifact used was not refined, it would be far inferior to his Xian artifact. Therefore, Qin Yun only used the Royal Great Spirit Saber because it was more compatible with him. I'll use this blade. I'm afraid your profound sword won't be able to handle it. As Qin Yun spoke, he was the first to attack and slashed at Zhuo Yisong. As soon as he drew his saber, he used the 6-style Wind Slayer to attack. He slashed out 6 times in a row with great momentum. The waves of thunder-like slashes were also very shocking. As for Zhuo Yisong, he would always cleave apart Qin Yun's ferocious saber with his sword. Every time Qin Yun slashed out, Zhuo Yisong would gently swing his sword, dissipating the power within the saber. Seeing Zhuo Yisong easily deflect Qin Yun's attack, everyone was astonished, especially Yang Mutian, who was the most shocked, because he knew very well how terrifying Qin Yun's saber technique was. As for Zhuo Yisong, he had easily dispersed the power of the violent strike. This was indeed an eye-opener. Is this the strength of the 5 major star sects? Qin Yun should be considered one of the top martial Dao realm cultivators in our Sabersword Villa, but he is being suppressed like this. Isn't that right? Otherwise, why do you think it is so difficult to enter the 5 great star doors? Indeed, Qin Yun can only be arrogant in Sabersword Villa. In front of the outstanding disciples of the 5 great star sects, he is not even worthy of carrying their shoes. Some people sneered and mocked Qin Yun. Jin Mang said, no, Zhuo Yisong's sword is a bit more powerful. After all, it is a Xian sword that is very compatible with Zhuo Yisong. The power it unleashes is very strong. Qin Yun did not use any Dao tools. It should be because he did not refine those Dao tools, so he was unable to unleash much power. In the spirit formation martial field, Qin Yun's every powerful attack was dissipated. However, he was still neither fast nor slow as he continued to attack. Jianlang also nodded and said, Zhuo Yisong is powerful in that sword. The Xian artifact was engraved with Xian runes. If it had the ability to dissipate energy in battle, it would indeed be of great help. Qin Yun was constantly attacking in search of a way to break it. Zhuo Yisong was quite strong, especially his reaction speed. No matter how fast the attack was, he could dodge or block it. In this aspect, Qin Yun was not inferior to Zhuo Yisong. Therefore, when Zhuo Yisong attacked Qin Yun could also dodge. The strength of the two seemed to be on par with each other. Their offense and defense were equally strong. When Qin Yun had executed the six-style Wind Slayer, he had used a very strong vibration Dao power mixed with thunder and fire Dao power. However, it was still dispersed by Zhua Yisong's Xian sword. That guy's Xian sword is truly evil. Qin Yun was alarmed and anxious. If he did not kill Zhua Yisong quickly, he might lose in the end. Zhua Yisong was even more anxious than Qin Yun, because even in the Sword Star sect, the other martial Dao realm cultivators were unable to deal with him for that long. He also knows that the reason why he can block Qin Yun's ferocious attack is because of that powerful Xian sword. If Qin Yun had a powerful Xian artifact, and it was very compatible, then Zhua Yisong would definitely lose. This kind of life and death battle did not have too many restrictions. Zhua Yisong was forced into a corner and hurriedly threw out a royal grade spirit talisman. The talisman flew out and suddenly burst into flames. I can use talismans? Qin Yun was enveloped in flames as he blocked Zhua Yisong's slash. He shouted in shock and anger. Why not? Zhua Yisong smiled coldly. Just as he finished speaking, he saw Qin Yun throw a talisman over. It was a body-securing talisman. When Zhua Yisong felt the power of the body-securing talisman, he said in surprise, "This is a body-securing talisman?" Qin Yun hurriedly slashed down with his saber, but was blocked by Zhua Yisong's sword. Zhua Yisong was not immobilized. It could be seen that he had a very strong armor on his body. He can even wear armor. Qin Yun cursed inwardly. He had forgotten that this was a life-and-death battle. It did not have as many restrictions as an offensive and defensive battle. Zhua Yisong laughed loudly and said, "Your body-securing talisman is useless against me." Just as he finished speaking, he saw a very small flying knife flying over. The flying dagger was extremely fast and instantly pierced into Zhua Yisong's eyes. Disciple. Yang Yinxing immediately shouted angrily, "Qin Yun, you used a concealed weapon. Didn't you see such a big flying knife? Is this a concealed weapon? Hidden weapon's my ass." Qin Yun controlled the small flying dagger to fly out. Yang Yinxing flew into a rage and shouted, "Jian Lang, remove the barrier. If they don't decide life and death, I won't be able to open the barrier unless the Villain Master or the old Villain Master comes." Jian Lang said indifferently, "Otherwise, even if you kill me, don't even think about making me open the barrier." Disciple, use a Dao artifact. Yang Yinxing shouted. Zhua Yisong hurriedly took out a Dao artifact. It was a silver-black longsword. The moment the sword appeared, a faint mist flowed around it, giving off a very strong deterrent force. That's the old Villain Master's sword. It contains the old Villain Master's sword intent. Jian Lang said in astonishment. That's right, that was given to me by the old Villain Master. I'll temporarily lend it to my disciple. Yang Yinxing smiled proudly. Disciple, quickly get rid of him. Qin Yun hurriedly controlled a few flying daggers to fly over. Zhua Yisong waved his sword and produced a strange suction force that sucked the flying daggers onto the sword's body. Then, they disappeared into the sword's body. Qin Yun never expected that the flying daggers would lose their effectiveness just like that. Helpless, he could only rush over and slash with his saber. Shwa shwa shwa. Qin Yun felt that his saber was very fast, but it was blocked by his opponent's Dao sword. When he retracted his saber, it was extremely strenuous. This was because Zhua Yisong's Dao sword had a very strong suction force. Could it be that this guy's Dao sword has something like a magnet added to it? It can absorb other people's weapons? Qin Yun found it inconceivable. After a few consecutive slashes, he was careless and the saber in his hand was sucked away. Zhua Yisong immediately laughed maniacally. "Your saber is gone? Ha ha ha, I'm going to dig out your eyes and place them on mine." Yang Yinxing felt a lot more at ease and revealed a complacent smile. The people from the Yang family, as well as Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian, all heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they looked at Yuan and Tian Ruling with sinister eyes. Zhua Yisong took advantage of the fact that Qin Yun did not have a weapon to rush over and slash with his sword. His speed was very fast. In a few moments, he had stabbed out more than 1,000 times. Even though Qin Yun dodged, his body was still stabbed a few times. Fortunately, they were not in any vital spots. He took out a Dao saber and, after slashing at it, it was sucked in by Zhua Yisong's sword. In order to prevent Zhua Yisong from sucking away his saber, Qin Yun hurriedly used his vibration power. He allowed his saber to vibrate and break free from the strange sword. Qin Yun stopped struggling. Just die obediently. Zhua Yisong laughed maniacally and said, "I want your eyes." As he spoke, Zhua Yisong slashed out thousands of times. The sword shadows blotted out the sky, and the sword energy was like a violent storm, forcing Qin Yun to the edge of the martial field with his back against the barrier. Qin Yun constantly brandished his saber to block. He never expected that Zhua Yisong's sword would be too strange. After blocking for a short while, his saber was sucked away. After the saber was sucked away, it entered the sword. At that moment, Zhua Yisong used his Dao sword to hold Qin Yun's neck. Then, he took out a throwing knife from the sword and stabbed it at Qin Yun's eyeballs. Qin Yun's eyes immediately widened as he spat out 2 black flames at Zhua Yisong. His eyes had been tempered by the star flame liquid and could release flames. Zhua Yisong never expected Qin Yun's eyes to suddenly spew out such terrifying flames. He was immediately forced to retreat dozens of meters as his face was burned to ashes. "Do you want to fight with weapons?" Qin Yun took out a pale golden hammer and smashed it down at Zhua Yisong. Zhua Yisong hurriedly blocked with his sword. Clang! After the 9-sun divine hammer in Qin Yun's hand smashed down, a violent flame splashed out, burning the sword and saber until it was red hot. Seeing the scene, everyone was dumbfounded. That Dao sword had actually been bent. After the Dao sword was damaged, the flying daggers and the 2 sabers that had been sucked away flew out. Qin Yun hurriedly controlled a few flying daggers to pierce through Zhua Yisong's body, creating dozens of holes in an instant. Zhua Yisong hurriedly took out the Xian sword from before, but it was broken by Qin Yun's hammer. Long Wuchen and Yang Mutian, who had recovered from their injuries, saw that Zhua Yisong, who had the upper hand just a moment ago, was now riddled with holes. Their hearts were filled with extreme fear. "Jian Lang, quickly remove the barrier and let me in." Yang Yinxing panicked as he grabbed Jian Lang and roared, "If you have the guts, kill me." Jian Lang sneered. Zhua Yisong screamed in despair, "Master, quickly save me. My Dao core has been pierced." Just as he finished speaking, he was ruthlessly slapped by Qin Yun. Chapter 530. Enlightened Qin Yun quickly put away the 9-sun divine hammer. He had no choice but to expose the hammer. He did not want others to see it for too long in case they discovered something. He walked over, grabbed Zhua Yisong's hair, and made him kneel towards Tian Ruling. "Kowtow and admit your wrongs to my big sister." Qin Yun pressed down on Zhua Yisong's head and slammed it into the ground. Bang, 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 bang. Qin Yun forced Zhua Yisong to kneel down and kowtow to Tian Ruling many times until his forehead broke. Yang Yinxing was watching from outside the barrier, incomparably furious. He constantly shot out bolts of lightning at Qin Yun, who was inside the barrier, but they were all blocked by Xiong Dao. "Yang Yinxing, that's enough. This is a life and death battle. They must decide life and death." Jian Lang sneered. "Look at yourself, how embarrassing. Qin Yun, if you dare to kill my disciple, I will kill you here and now." Yang Yinxing growled before looking at Tian Ruling and Yuan. "And these 2 women, I will also tear them to pieces." When Qin Yun heard this, he was immediately infuriated. On the ground, Zhua Yisong, who was severely injured, said with a sinister smile, "Qin Yun, your weakness is that you are too emotional. My master said to kill those two women, but you hesitated, huh? You bastard. I didn't want to kill you. But your master said before that one of us must die before the sword hall master can remove the barrier. If he doesn't remove the barrier, how can I get out? There's only you and me in this barrier, so you must die. So, I'm sorry. It was your master who asked me to kill you. With that said, Qin Yun struck Zhuo Yisong's head with a ferocious palm. The intense flame energy, accompanied by the shockwave, turned Zhuo Yisong into ashes. Zhuo Yisong was dead. The so-called number 1 martial Dao realm of the Sword Star sect had been blasted to smithereens just like that. At the same time, Xiong Dao and Dao Fan, as well as a few of his old friends, hurriedly protected Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan. Jianlang was very calm when he saw Zhuo Yisong die. As for the others, they were so shocked that their mouths were agape, unable to say a word. Qin Yun's actions had not only offended the Yang family, but also the Sword Star sect. The strongest martial Dao cultivator of the Sword Star sect has been defeated by a disciple of our Saber Hall. Xiong Dao's words also woke up the people of Saber Sword Villa. In that case, does this mean that our Saber Sword Villa can stand shoulder to shoulder with the 5 Great Star sects? Jianlang smiled slightly. Zhuo Yisong was killed, but Yang Yinxing was surprisingly calm. Yang Yinxing looked at Qin Yun and said coldly, Jianlang, you can remove the barrier now. Jianlang saw Qin Yun nod before controlling the barrier to close. As soon as the enchantment closed, Yang Yinxing's entire body surged with killing intent, causing the wind and clouds to surge. In an instant, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Dark clouds covered the sky as if doomsday had arrived. Jianlang hurriedly summoned his origin sword and charged over. Scram! The furious Yang Yinxing threw caution to the wind and hurriedly sent the sword wave flying. Yang Yinxing was a martial lord in the Xian realm. At that moment, he was furious and the power on his body was terrifying to the extreme. With a furious roar, he set off a gust of wind. The force sent Jianlang flying thousands of meters away. Qin Yun, run! Jianlang roared from afar. Qin Yun, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings. Turn into pieces for me. Yang Yinxing's angry roar shook the heavens and earth, accompanied by countless bolts of lightning. Qin Yun looked at Yang Yinxing, who was flying over. At the same time, he was alarmed. He hurriedly took out the Dragon Suppression Cauldron and made it very large. The Dragon Suppression Cauldron was released by Qin Yun. After it expanded, it came crashing down, covering Yang Yinxing inside. Following that, Qin Yun controlled the Dragon Suppression Cauldron to shrink. Then, he quickly closed the lid and kept the small cauldron. Because there was too much lightning just now, they were almost blinded. As a result, many people did not clearly see what cauldron it was. Jianlang flew back. When he saw that the place was calm and tranquil, his eyes widened in shock. Sword Hall Master, we are attacking the Talent Sword Academy. How are we going to win? Qin Yun acted as though nothing had happened as he asked the dumbfounded Jianlang. There was also a middle-aged martial master from the Sword Star sect here. He hurriedly charged at Qin Yun, but his arm was cut off by Xiong Dao, who flew over. Trash from the Sword Star sect. Don't even think about touching my Saber Hall's people. Scram! Xiong Dao shouted angrily. He was also very surprised. He wanted to know what Qin Yun had just released. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan both knew that it was Qin Yun's cauldron for smelting materials. However, they never expected that this cauldron would be so powerful that it could trap a Xian realm cultivator in an instant. Are the people of your Saber Sword Villa crazy? Don't tell me you don't want to arrange for disciples to enter our Sword Star sect? The middle-aged martial master of the Sword Star sect shouted in anger as he picked up his arm. Sword Star sect? Humph! Our Saber Sword Villa wants to become a sect stronger than the 5 Great Star sects. Go back and tell your Sword Star sect leader that your strongest martial Dao Realm disciple has been defeated by us. If you don't accept it, come again. Xiong Dao sneered. Saber Sword Villa had always been regarded as a second-rate sect. Now that they had a rare opportunity to display their strength, they had to seize this opportunity. If the time was right, the people from Sabersword Villa who had gone to the other star sects or immortal sects would quickly return to take charge. The Xian realm and martial kings of Sabersword Villa had all gone out. They were also cultivating in the 5 great star sects and 5 great immortal sections. If necessary, there would still be a portion of the disciples who would come back to take charge. Of the 3 people sent by the Sword Star sect, only one could return alive. Furthermore, one of his arms had been cut off. Qin Yun looked at Jian Meng and said, "In this attack, let's consider it our Dao Fan Academy's loss." Jian Meng was Jian Lang's man. Earlier, Jian Lang had also sided with Qin Yun. That was why Qin Yun had sold a favor to the Genius Sword Academy. In any case, it was only 2 points. The injured Yang Mutian and Long Wuchen were also taken away to recuperate. Such a big thing had happened in Sabersword Villa, it naturally caused a huge commotion. After Jian Lang and Xiong Dao discussed, they decided to temporarily seal off Sabersword Villa. If the 2 of them worked together, they would have a lot of prestige in Sabersword Villa. The Medicine Hall and the Inscription Hall were fence-sitters. Whoever was powerful in Sabersword Villa, they would follow. There were many elders in the Hall of Elders. These elders were only from the Yang and Long families. They did not listen to Jian Lang and Xiong Dao. The other elders maintained a neutral attitude. After sealing off Sabersword Villa, no one could leave or enter. This was also to allow the offensive and defensive battles to proceed smoothly. The elders of the Yang and Long families said that they wanted Yang Mutian and Long Wuchen to return to their families to recuperate and insisted on leaving the city. Jian Lang and Xiong Dao did not stop them. This was because the people from the Yang and Long families knew that they had completely lost power in Sabersword Villa. Leaving Sabersword Villa this time could be considered as withdrawing. In this way, the entire Sabersword Villa was of one mind. Jian Lang immediately abolished the bounty offered by the Long and Yang families. In order to win over the hearts of the people, Jian Lang and Xiong Dao had even changed the rules. In the offensive and defensive battles, as long as one entered the top 50, they would not need to go out to mine. Originally, they needed to enter the top 20. In the following month, the offensive and defensive battles also ended. Without any suspense, the Dao Fan Academy won first place. Obtaining first place in the Sabersword Attack and Defense competition would allow one to obtain the rewards of the 5 halls. The Saber Hall's reward was the moon-splitting mysterious art. The Sword Hall's reward was 100 million purple coins each for Qin Yun, Tian Ruling, and Yu Wulan. The reward for the Medicine Hall was 3 Bone Spirit Xian pills, and the reward for the Inscription Hall was 3 Violent Thunder Xian talismans. On the other hand, all the elders in the Hall of Elders worked together to activate the Dao Spirit formation, allowing Qin Yun and company to cultivate a Dao spirit. At the 9th level of the martial Dao, one needed to begin cultivating a Dao spirit. That was a very miraculous thing. As long as one cultivated a Dao spirit, they would be able to reach the peak of the martial Dao realm. They were only half a step away from the spirit martial realm. For example, Qin Yun, Tian Ruling, and Yu Wulan had just stepped into the martial Dao realm not long ago. They had no concept of something as illusory as a Dao spirit. At this time, if there was something to guide them to open their spirits, they would be able to quickly cultivate their Dao spirit and cultivate to the great perfection stage of the martial Dao realm. Of the 5 halls rewards, the Saber Hall and the Elders Hall had the most generous rewards. The Saber Hall Xian technique was extremely rare. Qin Yun had wanted to cultivate it for a long time. As for the Elders Hall, they had activated the Dao spirit formation and guided them to open their spirits. This was also very valuable. The Dao spirit formation was located on the top floor of the 7-story tower to the east of Sabersword Villa. After resting for 2 days, Qin Yun, Yu Wulan, and Tian Ruling arrived at the top floor of the 7-story tower. Xiong Dao and Jian Lang followed them to the bottom of the 7-story tower. After activating the Dao spirit formation, it would continue to operate for 9 days. Once this formation was activated, It would need to rest for a few months or even a year before it could be activated again. After circulating once, the runes on the formation would also be damaged once. Big sister, second sister, what exactly is this spirit opening? Qin Yin had only heard Yang Shui mention it briefly, but he did not understand the specifics. Tao spirit is the source of all spirits. After we cultivate a Tao spirit, we can cultivate other miraculous spirits. Yu Wulan smiled gently. Her expression was extremely beautiful and enchanting. Tian Ruling added, after cultivating a Tao spirit, we will be at the great perfection stage of the martial Tao realm. After that, as long as we condense a bone spirit, we will be able to step into the spirit martial realm. Bone spirit? Qin Yin was filled with anticipation and curiosity. I don't know the specifics either. In short, these spirits are very mysterious. Martial masters of the spirit martial realm usually don't reveal themselves. Tian Ruling said, when we cultivate a Tao spirit, we should be clear. At that time, we can ask Elder Fan. The Tao spirit formation suddenly opened. After it opened, Qin Yin felt an incomparably dense amount of Nine Suns spiritual energy appear inside. When the Tao spirit formation was in operation, it would release a strange power that would draw the Nine Suns spiritual energy into their bodies and souls in a very mysterious way. Not long after, Qin Yin felt his soul bathing in the Nine Suns spiritual energy. It was as if he was soaking in a hot spring filled with 9 colored lights. It was extremely comfortable. Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan were both 5 meridians and 6 meridians, so they did not see as much light as Qin Yin. Qin Yin was immersed in the space created by his consciousness. It was extremely comfortable, but suddenly a black sun appeared in the sky above his fantasy space. Chapter 531. A strange Tao spirit Qin Yin is most familiar with this black sun. It is the nether sun. What's going on? His heart is filled with anxiety. He doesn't know if this is a good thing or not. Could it be that this is condensing the so-called Tao spirit? Qin Yin looked at the nether sun in the sky, which is constantly absorbing the 9 colored light. He suddenly felt a bit relieved. He has 3 martial spirits, but only the nether sun has appeared. This means that the nether sun martial spirit is the strongest. That's why it came out to condense a Tao spirit. Qin Yin knows nothing about Tao spirits because he has never seen them before. He has never heard anyone talk about them in detail. He only knows that Tao spirits are very special existences. They're connected to the soul. Moreover, Tao spirits are also very weak. It is said that even the Tao spirits of martial kings are also very weak. Therefore, no one has ever released a Tao spirit. The function of a Tao spirit is to make one's Tao power stronger and allow one to fully display the power of the great Tao life mark. Time passed bit by bit. The speed at which the nether sun in the sky absorbed the 9 colored light gradually slowed down. What Qin Yin did not expect is that the nether sun actually turned into a pearl. Soon after, cracks gradually appeared on the surface of the black pearl. What the hell is this? Qin Yin looked at the cracked pearl and could not help but be stunned. His fantasy space is a world created by his consciousness after he closed his eyes, because Qin Yin feels that he is as comfortable as soaking in a hot spring. Therefore, in the fantasy space of his consciousness, he is soaking in a hot spring. This is a very strange state. However, in a space of consciousness, the 9 colored light and the pearl formed by the nether sun are not his own imagination. Rather, they really did suddenly appear in the illusory space of his consciousness. The black pearl cracked open, and a very small beauty appeared inside. She is only the size of a palm and has a pair of translucent black wings, like a little fairy. Different from Momo, this little fairy's hair is black and wavy. Her small and exquisite face is charming and beautiful. Her pair of slender eyes are like the eyes of a seductive fox spirit, charming and enchanting. You are the one who woke me up? The black-winged fairy flew towards Qin Yin. You are in my fantasy space? Qin Yin is stunned. What exactly are you? fantasy space? This should be called an illusory space. It's the dwelling place of your soul. The little fairy's voice was also very sweet as she giggled. Qin Yun said with a frown, "All right, so be it. How did you appear in my illusory space?" "I'm cultivating my Tao spirit." "I am your Tao spirit, little fool." Although the little fairy was very small, she looked like an adult. She crossed her arms over her chest and giggled at Qin Yun. "You are my Tao spirit." This caused Qin Yun to jump up in fright. He never knew that Tao spirits could speak and even have their own thoughts. This charming little elf flirtatiously combed her wavy black hair and chuckled. "I am Ling Yin, or just call me Yin. Although you're a little fool, there's nothing I can do about it. Who asked you to be my master?" Qin Yin was puzzled. He was cultivating a Tao spirit, but such a little thing had popped out of his illusory space. In the past, his illusory space was mainly used to relax and enter a state of selflessness. His own various fantasies would sometimes appear in this illusory space. And at this time, there was an outsider in the illusory space. Doesn't this mean that some of his messy thoughts would be known by this Ling Yun'er? Qin Yun hurriedly imagined a black cloth bag and covered Ling Yun'er. "What are you doing?" Ling Yun'er saw a black thing coming over, and with a wave of her hand, the cloth bag dissipated. "This is my most private space. How can you appear here?" Qin Yun said in a very unhappy manner. "I was clearly cultivated by you. Do you think I'm willing to follow an idiot like you?" Ling Yun said unhappily, "You have to be clear that when many people cultivate their Tao spirit, they can't wait to cultivate a Tao spirit in human form. And you despise me." The more Ling Yun spoke, the angrier she became. Her charming face was stiff as she snorted and complained. "Really?" Qin Yun said in surprise. "Of course it's true. It's very rare for me. Of the two women who cultivated Tao spirits with you, one of them cultivated the moon and the sea, and the other cultivated a world of ice and snow." Ling Yun said with an unhappy expression. Qin Yun guessed that in the illusory space of Tian ruling, a world of ice and snow appeared, and Yu Wulan cultivated the moon and the sea. This was all related to their personalities, growth experiences, and martial spirits. Then, wouldn't my usual fantasies be seen by you? When Qin Yun thought of this matter, he felt as if there was a knot in his heart. What does it matter? I saw it, and I can't tell anyone. I will be in your illusory space for the rest of my life. I can't leave, and I can see your fantasies to relieve my boredom." Ling Yun'er teased. "You little fool, to be able to cultivate such a beautiful Tao spirit like me. It's most likely because you often fantasize about beauties. How is this possible? I am a very pure person." Qin Yun curled his lips. "Whether you're pure or not, I will definitely be able to verify it through your fantasies in the future." Ling Yun giggled. "All right, what are the benefits of me cultivating such a strange Tao spirit like you?" Qin Yun asked. "There are many benefits. You will know in the future." Ling Yun said, "Quickly imagine some flowers in here. I want many beautiful flowers." With a thought, Qin Yun created flowers that covered the mountains and plains. Ling Yun flew around happily. "I hope this isn't a scam." Qin Yun thought to himself. "How could I be a scam?" Ling Yun said unhappily. "First of all, I'm a Nether Sun Fairy. I know a lot of things." "All right, tell me, where is Big Sister Yang?" Qin Yun asked hurriedly. "Well, I'll take a look at your Big Sister Yang first." As Ling Yun spoke, she began reading Qin Yun's memories. Qin Yun sensed that his memories were being checked by the little thing. He immediately shouted, "Quickly stop." Ling Yun curled her lips and said, "With just your memories, I've finished reading them in an instant. Then tell me, where did Big Sister Yang go?" Qin Yun cursed in his heart. However, his curses were heard by Ling Yun. Ling Yun snorted lightly. "Don't scold me. I am equivalent to your soul steward. I know everything you know, see, do, and think." "All right, didn't you say that you know a lot of things? Quickly tell me, where did Big Sister Yang go?" Qin Yun asked. "She left when she saw a red moon, and in her previous life, she was the young palace master of the Moon Palace. Therefore, she knows the meaning of the blood moon very well. Ling Yun indeed read Qin Yun's memories and said, "The appearance of the blood moon means that the moon is giving birth to the inscription spirit. She wants to seize the inscription spirit, and she doesn't understand the Tao of inscription, yet she wants to snatch it. What do you think it's for?" "For me?" Qin Yun said with a frown. "You're not stupid." Ling Yun laughed. "I'm not stupid to begin with." Qin Yun hurriedly reached out and pinched Ling Yun. However, he could not pinch her. His body was illusory inside. "All right, tell me about Elder Sister Grand Preceptor," Qin Yun said again. "In her previous life, your Elder Sister Grand Preceptor was the daughter of Mog and the Immortal Emperor. She cultivated a rare, immortal devil body, which is extremely terrifying. It is said that she could dominate the entire immortal desolate land. Later on, she was killed by the Immortal Emperor. However, the Immortal Emperor was unable to destroy her body, so he sealed her in the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range. You should already know this, right?" Ling Yun said. "She is already reincarnated." Qin Yun said, "Is she still buried in the immortal graveyard?" "Yes, her immortal devil body is still in the immortal graveyard. Because her soul is too powerful after awakening and her body is unable to withstand it, she is currently very weak. Also, her soul is rather special. She cannot be illuminated by the sun, or else it will be very painful." Ling Yun indeed knew a lot of things. Qin Yun fell into deep thought. He never expected that Siekiru would encounter such a thing. He still did not understand and asked, "Why did the Immortal Emperor kill his own daughter?" Ling Yun said, "I'm not sure either. I guess there are two reasons. One is that Siekiru's immortal devil body is too terrifying and the Immortal Emperor is worried that she will lose control. In addition, the immortal desolate Immortal Emperor was afraid that his position in the immortal desolate land will be taken away by his daughter, so he acted ruthlessly. Big Sister Grand Preceptor said that my mother's soul is in the immortal graveyard. Is this true?" Qin Yun asked. "Your Big Sister Grand Preceptor dotes on you very much. Why would she lie to you? This is indeed true. After she died, she was cursed, and her soul floated into the immortal graveyard." Ling Yun stroked her long hair and said, "Do you have any other questions? Also, what about the empty coffin that Aunt Xiao and I encountered when we entered the Tian Xiao Imperial Tomb?" This was also a mystery in Qin Yun's heart. The Xiao family is one of the dragon bloodline inheritances. They also participated in the construction of many immortal tombs. As for the empty coffin at the bottom of the Tian Xiao Imperial Tomb, it can teleport the dead to the immortal graveyard. As long as one goes there, their soul will never be destroyed. The people of the Xiao family believe that by doing so, they will have a chance to revive in the future. Qin Yun thought for a moment and felt that it made sense. He asked curiously, "Why do you know so many things?" Ling Yun said proudly, "Because I am a Nether Sun fairy. The Nether Sun has always been in the sky, witnessing what happened in the 9 desolate land of the 9 suns. I only need to use your memories to make a slight guess, and I will be able to get a general idea." "So you guessed it?" Qin Yun snorted. "Even if it's a guess, it's not far from the truth. All right, your Big Sister Grand Preceptor wants you to enter an immortal sect so that you can steal the immortal origin. That is the lifeline of an immortal sect." Ling Yun giggled. "Don't worry, with my help, you will get twice the result with half the effort. What's the use of the immortal origin?" Qin Yun asked hurriedly. Chapter 532. Bone Spirit Xian Pilonli. Now did Qin Yun know that Siekiru let him enter the immortal sect with such long-term considerations. "Yun do you know where Big Sister Yang is going to get the inscription spirit?" Ling Yun said. "She must have returned to the Nether Moon Palace first. In short, you don't have to worry about this matter. She will definitely get the inscription spirit for you." "How can you be so sure?" Qin Yun did not think. "So, because there must be a lot of people who want the inscription spirit." Ling Yun said with a smile. "Don't worry." Qin Yun really wanted to know where Yang Shiryu is now but Ling Yun it did not seem to know. After I cultivated you, Tao Spirit Fairy, did I improve in all aspects? Qin Yun asked. Of course there is improvement. Didn't you not know how to use the power of the Nether Sun before? I can guide you in using it now. Ling Yun smiled. This made Qin Yun secretly happy. If he could truly use the power of the Nether Sun Tao core, it would indeed increase his strength by quite a bit. In the beginning, the power of the Nether Sun martial spirit is not used for battle, but for development. For example, the Nether Sun fire can quickly burn many things. However, this is only a relatively ordinary sun fire. Ling Yun giggled and said, Don't worry, I will guide you to become stronger in the future. Qin Yun is still a little uncomfortable with the sudden appearance of Ling Yun. After all, she lives in his consciousness. Yin, do I have a past life? Qin Yun suddenly thought of this matter and quickly asked, the memories of your past life are sealed in your soul. Your soul is too weak to bear so many memories at once, so it will not awaken for the time being. Ling Yun said, Your Imperial Preceptor sister can awaken her memories because her soul is strong enough. It's just that her body can't keep up, so there is a problem. Will she be all right? Qin Yun is very worried. If this goes on, something will definitely happen, unless we can quickly help her find her original body, which is the immortal devil body. You must know that her powerful soul is born from the immortal devil body. Even if she reincarnates, she will be able to grow rapidly in a short period of time. Ling Yun's words made Qin Yun more worried. Her soul is growing crazily at every moment. She should be relying on the Nine Yin spirit to suppress that powerful soul and slow down its growth. Otherwise, her soul would not have a body to carry it, and it would be more dangerous. Qin Yun had no way of interfering in such matters. He sighed helplessly and worriedly. Siekaru's powerful immortal demon body was sealed in the immortal graveyard and could only be found through the immortal graveyard diagram. If he did not have the top strength of the spirit desolate, he would not be able to succeed. He also doesn't dare to take the risk, because if something happens to him, Siekaru's hopes will be shattered. Ling Yun broke Qin Yun's contemplation and said, The matter of helping Siekaru can be delayed a bit. Your current cultivation is too low. Working hard to develop yourself is the right way. All right, don't tell anyone about your Tao spirit. In fact, everyone's Tao spirit is very mysterious, and they never tell anyone about it. Qin Yun nodded. Then his head suddenly sank, and he opened his eyes in a daze. Just now, it was as if he had taken a nap. Am I dreaming? Ling Yun doesn't exist? However, I did a lot of things. Whatever, as long as this little demoness is not in my consciousness. Qin Yun was secretly delighted. I'm still here, I've said it before. I'll accompany you for the rest of your life. Ling Yun's voice sounded in Qin Yun's mind. Qin Yun let out a long sigh in his heart before looking at Tian Ruling and Yuan. Tian Ruling's body emitted waves of cold air. Her black clothes were covered in snow-white frost. As for Yuan, her body overflowed with a holy silver moonlight. She was extremely beautiful. At this moment, Ling Yun's voice appeared in Qin Yun's mind. Of the two of them, which one do you want the most? Or do you want to do it together? You little demoness, don't randomly guide my thoughts. I am very pure, Qin Yun shouted in his heart. That's true. There are no other dirty thoughts in your mind. This is not normal. Ling Yun laughed tenderly. Let me change you. Let you become more normal. Damn demoness, don't mess around. Qin Yun was alarmed. He was also somewhat worried that Ling Yun would control him. Qin Yun was the first to wake up. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling were still cultivating. The Tao spirit formation was still operating. Qin Yun had successfully cultivated his Tao spirit and did not continue to absorb the power of the formation. However, his Tao spirit was very strange and maddening. Master, quickly go and kiss Tian Ruling. Now is the best time to kiss her. With her current state, she can also feel the outside world. If she accepts you in her heart, she will naturally cater to you. Ling Yun suddenly said, If you don't accept it based on your relationship with her, she won't say anything. Qin Yun shouted in his heart. Little demoness, I'm warning you. Don't instigate me to do bad things. If I, Qin Yun, want to chase after a woman, I will definitely use open and above-board methods. There is no need to be so sneaky. I am such a pure person. Why would I cultivate a little demon like you? He wailed in his heart, looking as if he had nothing to live for. This might have something to do with your previous life, right? Ling Yun giggled. Qin Yun wished he could grab this little thing out of his illusory space and seal her mouth. However, the illusory space was originally a place where his consciousness fantasized. It was extremely illusory. It was as if it was his own dream. There was no way to grab the things inside. Master, quickly go and touch Yuan. She will definitely be very happy. Ling Yun'er laughed. Don't waste this opportunity. Enough. Qin Yun could not help but glance at Yuan. She was indeed very tempting. At this moment, Tian rolling slowly opened her eyes, and the frost on her body quickly disappeared. Big sister, Qin Yun said with a smile, have you cultivated a Tao spirit? After I cultivated my Tao spirit, my spiritual veins seem to have increased by a lot. It allowed me to sense even denser spiritual energy and absorb even more spiritual energy. After it entered my body, it turned into spiritual energy. Tao spirits also need to absorb this kind of spiritual energy to continuously strengthen themselves. The stronger the Tao spirit, the stronger the great Tao power I can release. Furthermore, there are other special places. Tian Rilling nodded and revealed a happy smile. Qin Yun found it strange. Why did Tian Rilling know about this after she broke through? But he did not. Soon after, Yuan also woke up with a sweet smile on her face. Great, we're just a little bit away from stepping into the spirit martial realm. Yuan smiled and touched Qin Yun's cheek. Xiao Yun, I have to thank you for this. Tian Rilling said. Although the medicine hall gave each of us a bone spirit Xian pill, it is still very difficult for us to cultivate a bone spirit. Yuan faintly sighed. If I had more than 10 bone spirit Xian pills, I might be able to successfully awaken my Tao bone. Qin Yun said with a smile. More than 10? We'll just go buy it. Bone spirit Xian pills are very precious. They are rarely sold on the market. Yuan shook her head. She also knew that Qin Yun had a lot of purple coins, but sometimes, no matter how many purple coins he had, it would be difficult to buy some rare Xian cores. I'll pay 100 million for one. Can I buy it? Qin Yun curled his lips. It really won't do. If it was any other Xian pill, it might be possible, but the medicinal ingredients used to refine the bone spirit Xian pill are all 1,000-year-old herbs. The growth cycle is 3,000 years, and the medicinal ingredients are difficult to find. Only in the immortal sex might there be more. Tian Rilling said coldly. Qin Yun never expected that these pills would be so precious. They were the same price as Xian artifacts. If we don't have the bone spirit Xian pill, we won't be able to cultivate a bone spirit? Qin Yun asked with a frown. The bone spirit Xian pill can allow a person to quickly cultivate a bone spirit. If not, then it will take a long time. Yuan said, it might take decades or even 100 years to cultivate a bone spirit. Tian Rilling said, the advantage of the immortal sex and the 5 great star sects is that they have many rare pills. As long as they compete, they can be obtained. If one's talent is outstanding, they will be able to advance by leaps and bounds in these sects. Let's go out, Yuan said. Qin Yun and company walked out of the tower and returned to the Common Saber Academy. They had been in the tower for a few days. In the past few days, some things had happened. Someone from the Sword Star sect had come. They wanted Qin Yun to release Yang Yanqing. After all, he was a Xian martial realm martial monarch. To his sect, he was rather important. There were also people from the Yang family. However, they were all sent away by Jianlang. The Saber Sword Villa was still very confident. Even a 5 great star sect like the Sword Star sect did not dare to barge in. Other than the people from the Sword Star sect and the Yang family, there was also a guest from the Divine Inscription Palace. As long as someone from the Divine Inscription Palace came and was not an arrogant person, The saber sword villa would always be polite and treat them well. This person was a Xian inscription master. He was a fat middle-aged man. He did not say his name and only said that he was looking for Qin Yin. When Qin Yin heard this, he knew that it was Mu Feng. Back then, Mu Feng had helped to evacuate many people from the Nine Extinction Profound Gate. Qin Yin had always wanted to thank him. Qin Yin hurriedly invited Mu Feng to the Common Saber Academy. Xiong Dao and Jian Lang were extremely respectful towards a Xian inscription master like Mu Feng. They were also curious as to how Qin Yin knew such a person. Qin Yin brought Mu Feng to his room. Mu Feng wore a white robe, and his face was full of smiles. Qin Yin, the things you do are always so shocking. Mu Feng drank his tea and chuckled. There's nothing I can do about it. I have too many good things in my hands. Sometimes, if I accidentally expose them, I will naturally be targeted by others. Fatty Mu, why did you come to find me? Just say it. Chapter 533. Xing Jun and Yu Ji Mu Feng did not immediately answer Qin Yin. Instead, he sipped on his tea. After he finished the cup of tea, he slowly said, I came to talk to you about two things. The first thing is, did you also see a blood moon before? Qin Yin hurriedly nodded. Yang sure you had also suddenly left at that time. After he cultivated the Tao Spirit Fairy, he learned that the appearance of the blood moon was the appearance of an inscription spirit. An inscription spirit has appeared. Are you interested? Mu Feng chuckled and said, This inscription spirit is an extremely powerful one. As long as it's an inscription master, they would all want it. The spirit desolate is so big, and there are as many experts as the clouds. I'm just a small 9th-level martial Dao cultivator, so I won't join the fun. Qin Yin also wanted to take a look, because Yang sure you was very likely to be there. But he was also worried that he would stir up a lot of trouble there, and then he would implicate others. You're not weak at all. As long as you don't meet Genius Spirit Martial Realm Martial Master, you will be fine, Mu Feng said with a smile. What's the second matter you came to me for? Asked Qin Yin. Well, I remember that Hong Meng Shu had a mystic moon saber. The moon runes on it were damaged, but they were repaired later on. Did you repair it? Mu Feng asked with a smile. That's right. Qin Yin nodded. Mu Feng hurriedly took out a large bell. Help me fix this thing, and I'll give you a reward. Qin Yin looked at the huge bell. Indeed, there were some moon runes on it. They were not considered complicated. What's the reward? Qin Yin felt that Mo could repair it, so he directly asked for the reward. What do you want now? Tell me, I'll see if I can help you get it. Mu Feng also knew that Qin Yin did not lack purple crystal coins. Bone Spirit Xian Pill. Qin Yin just happened to need this kind of Xian Pill. After Mu Feng heard this, he shook his head. I can't get it. There are more of these things in the major star sects and immortal sects. The other sects and families all treat them like treasures. Qin Yin thought for a moment and said, Can you get the medicinal ingredients needed for the Bone Spirit Xian Pill? That depends on what kind of medicinal herb it is. Every sect's Bone Spirit Xian Pill recipe is different. Mu Feng said with a smile, I need to see what kind of herbs your saber sword villain needs. Qin Yun's mysterious pill scripture recorded the recipe for such a pill. He did not know if it was useful or not. According to his own memory, he writes down 3 kinds of drafts, all of which are low-grade drafts. Shin Beast Bone, Night Lotus, Moon Spirit Rose. Mu Feng looked at the names of the ingredients and frowned. Are you sure this is the formula for refining the Bone Spirit Xian Pill? What? Don't tell me it doesn't look like it. Qin Yin did not know if what was recorded in the mysterious pill scripture was true or not. Shin Beast bones are very easy to get. Night Lotus and Moon Spirit Rose can also be obtained, but these are both low-grade drafts. That Bone Spirit Xian Pill seems to be a mid-grade Xian Pill. Can these medicinal ingredients refine a Bone Spirit Xian Pill? Mu Feng was very suspicious of this. Just get it for me. How long will it take? How many purple coins? Qin Yun asked. Xian Beast bones are very cheap. Night Lotus and Moon Spirit Rose seem to cost 10 to 20 million each. They are still quite expensive. Mu Feng put away the piece of paper and said with a smile, As long as you help me repair that bell, I'll get one for you. Only one? Qin Yun said disdainfully. Apart from Xin beast bones, the other two are rare goods. They take 2 to 3,000 years to mature. If I can get one, it would be amazing, Mu Feng said with a smile. All right. Qin Yun thought for a moment and nodded. After Mu Feng left, Qin Yun hurriedly let Mo out to repair the bell. He did not know what use this bell had. However, Ling Yun the little demoness, knew. This bell is a Dao tool. The runes on it. The main function is to produce a unique sound wave that can attract many powerful beasts. This should be used to hunt powerful beasts. Ling Yun said. Mo was in the storage space, playing very happily with little Jade Rabbit and Yang Yang. Their days were very enjoyable. After she obtained the moon totem, she could condense a lot of moonlight essence. She didn't need to eat magical beast crystal eggs to be full all day. Qin Yun looked at Mo and thought to himself, little Mo is so cute. It would be great if Ling Yun was the same as her. Ling Yun heard Qin Yun's thoughts and said with a chuckle, Xiao Yun, I'm also very cute. Mo calls me big brother, but you call me Xiao Yun all day long. Qin Yun said in a bad mood, You silly brat. I'm much older than you, so I naturally have to call you Xiao Yun. Ling Yun giggled and said, Oh right, this little duckling, the 9th heaven Xian sparrow, is not easy to raise. You have to be mentally prepared. Really? Qin Yun suddenly felt worried. Yang Yang's appetite is very big. Little Jade Rabbit and little Mo can eat the moonlight essence to be full, but that duckling wants to eat dragon meat. After eating this dragon, you will have a big headache. Ling Yun said. Then what should we do? We can't just let her go. Qin Yun was also reluctant to part with a cute duckling. Besides, he had raised it for a period of time and fed it a lot of dragon meat. He could not let it go to waste. This is a divine beast. Of course we can't let it go. Ling Yun said, You'd better master the method to refine royal-grade Xian pills. When the time comes, just feed it the pills. Qin Yun also remembered that in the mysterious pill scripture, there were pills for beasts to eat. Yang sure you had the memories of a young palace master from her previous life. She definitely had a way to obtain the inscription spirit. That's fine. In any case, it's not that easy to obtain the inscription spirit. It's not too late to wait. Mu Feng said, Right now, the people from the various sects are looking for the inscription spirit, so they don't have time to bother with you for the time being. No time to bother with me? Even if they have time, what can they do to me? Qin Yun was not afraid at all. I don't know either. Mu Feng shook his head and said, I'm leaving. If you want to find me, you can go to the Immortal Weapon City's inscription palace to find me. I'm doing pretty well there. After Mu Feng left, Qin Yun hurriedly took out the Sun Moon Profound Bowl. Ling Yun said anxiously, Xiao Yun, this is not a Xian artifact. It's called the Sun Moon Divine Bowl. It's a divine artifact, and it's a good item. The Xiao family really picked up a treasure back then. However, it was damaged and has been unable to unleash its strongest power. It's like a Xian artifact. Divine artifact? This kind of thing should be from the divine desolate land. How did it flow into the border area? Qin Yun was pleasantly surprised as he asked curiously, Why didn't I see it before? You can't tell because the divine runes are all dark runes. This is a mix of all kinds of runes. Why did it flow into the border area? I don't know either. In short, this is a good thing. If Mo is strong enough, she can completely repair it. With little Mo's current strength, she is still unable to repair the divine runes on it. Ling Yun only knew about the existence of this thing through Qin Yun's memories. Now that she saw it with her own eyes, she knew that it was a divine artifact. Qin Yun was pleasantly surprised as he placed the Sun Moon Divine Bowl on the table and let it condense the essence of the sun and moon. The condensed essence of the sun and moon can accelerate the growth of plants. As for how fast it can accelerate, I'm not sure. Ling Yun said, This bowl is really powerful. It's so damaged, but it can still be used. Qin Yun now has the medicinal ingredients. He only lacks a Xian tool for refining medicine. In his alchemy scripture, there is a special refining Xian tool for refining the bone spirit Xian pill. This kind of Xian tool needs to be engraved with star and moon runes as well as some Xian runes. The difficulty of refining is still relatively high. Qin Yun is only at the 9th level martial Dao realm. He has just cultivated his Dao spirit and does not possess the power of the spirit martial realm. Just as Qin Yun was having a headache over this matter, he heard Yu Wulan shout from outside. Xiao Yun, Demon Moon Island's elder fox is here. Chapter 534. Alchemy. It was obvious that Hu Jingxian had come to find Qin Yun for something important. Qin Yun brought her into a room for a secret discussion. Hu Jingxian was wearing a charming pink dress as she looked at Qin Yun with a charming expression. She was always intentionally or unintentionally teasing Qin Yun's mind, especially when she smiled faintly. Her expression was extremely charming. Elder Hu, what's the matter? Qin Yun asked with a calm expression. I heard that you have a devil-chasing talisman, right? I want one. How do you plan on selling it? Hu Jingxian said, is this devil-chasing talisman very useful to you? Are you in a hurry to use it? Qin Yun asked after some thought. It's not too urgent, but it's indeed very useful. This will allow us to kill many magical beasts in the magical desolate land. Hu Jingxian smiled sweetly. Quickly name a price. As for the price, this kind of thing is priceless. Qin Yun sighed. Furthermore, it's extremely difficult to refine. Hu Jingxian spat lightly and said, I know that you won one. 5 billion purple coins, and then received the purple crystal coin reward from the sword hall. You don't lack it at all. I really don't lack purple coins. Qin Yun smiled. I do lack bone spirit Xian pills. I wonder if Elder Hu has any? No. Hu Jingxian sighed. Our bone spirit Xian pills are also purchased from the Medicine Immortal Valley. They're extremely expensive. Hu Jingxian also knew that Qin Yun had cultivated his Dao spirit. Next, he needed to cultivate his bone spirit and step into the spirit realm. Our Demon Moon Island really doesn't have any bone spirit Xian pills. She pouted and said bitterly, Don't you plan on selling the devil-chasing talisman to us? Qin Yun said with a smile, Of course not. I just want to ask you for a favor. It's not too difficult. It just takes a bit of time. Is it here? Hu Jingxian asked. Qin Yun nodded. All right, what is it? Speak. Hu Jingxian understood Qin Yun quite well and agreed. Assist me in artifact forging. Qin Yun smiled as he scratched his head. He had originally planned to ask Dao Fan to help, but this Hu Jingxian was a Xian realm martial monarch, so she was definitely better than Dao Fan. Assist in refining? How? Hu Jingxian was also very interested. Her charming fox eyes flashed with a curious light. Qin Yun took out the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. When Hu Jingxian saw the cauldron, she exclaimed softly, Yang Yinqing is locked inside, isn't he? Yes, this fellow is running around inside. Can you help me seal him first? Qin Yun said, I don't want to kill him for now. In the future, I can use him to threaten the Sword Star sect. Hu Jingxian took out a rope and said, This rope is specially used to tie up martial monarchs. Qin Yun opened the lid a little and let her put the rope in. Not long after, the rope automatically tied Yang Yinqing up. All right. Qin Yun smiled and took out Yang Yinqing and placed him in a large vat. After Qin Yun emptied the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron, he took out some materials and entered the secret chamber. He began to refine and forge them. Previously, when he was refining the Xian royal cannon, he needed Zi Qingqing's help to forge the materials. Now, he had the Nine Sun Divine Hammer, so he could forge the materials himself. He only needed Hu Jingxian to pour her powerful martial lord power into the Xianyuan steel, so that when the Xianyuan steel was being forged, it would become even stronger. You're refining a Xian artifact? Hu Jingxian frowned and asked. When I came, I saw Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan sparring in the courtyard. Did you refine the royal grade spirit artifacts they used? I refined them. That is the foundation of a Xian artifact. I now have the body to refine a low-grade Xian artifact, but I still can't carve Xian runes. Qin Yun said. That's still very powerful. Hu Jingxian also knew that Qin Yun was a genius inscription master when he was in the Martial Desolate. Now, She had personally witnessed the process of Qin Yin forging. Do you want to refine a very strong royal-grade spirit artifact? Hu Jingxian asked curiously. No, I want to refine a Xian artifact. Qin Yin took out a blueprint and looked at it before continuing to forge the materials. Hu Jingxian's charming face was immediately filled with surprise. Qin Yin was only at the 9th level of a martial Dao, but he was already able to forge a Xian artifact. Are you joking? Hu Jingxian could not believe it. I need your help to inscribe Xian runes. Qin Yin suddenly became serious as he sped up the forging of the materials. He wanted to refine 2 low-grade alchemy Xian artifacts. There were 2 boxes. One was used to make medicinal powder, and the other was used to make medicinal liquid. Only with medicinal powder and medicinal liquid could he mix them together to refine pills. Qin Yin was in the secret chamber. He began to knock on the door, and the commotion was not small. Yu Wulan and Tian Ziruo had once experienced the process of 2 cold cloud sabers and willow moon sabers. Therefore, they knew very well that Hu Jingxian had been pulled by Qin Yin to help refine artifacts. Because Qin Yin was a rather special disciple, Dao Fan did not care much about him. If Qin Yin had any problems that he wanted to consult, he could just look for Dao Fan. Inside the secret chamber, Qin Yin looked at the charming beauty who was dripping with sweat and felt that it was pleasing to the eye. He did not know if it was a habit, but he always wanted to find such a beauty to do odd jobs. It would give him a different sense of accomplishment. Of course, Hu Jingxian, a martial monarch at the Xian martial realm, did not complain. Instead, she enjoyed it. From time to time, it would instigate Qin Yin to flirt with the charming fox spirit Hu Jingxian. Qin Yin was somewhat moved by Ling Yun'er's words. After more than a month, Hu Jingxian finally helped Qin Yin refine 2 alchemy Xian artifacts. They did not stay in the secret chamber all day. Every day, they would rest for 2 to 4 hours and go out to relax. Hu Jingxian was often responsible for purchasing various materials and herbs. Naturally, she knew very well that it was a Xian artifact. This shocked her even more. That was because not only did Qin Yin refine a Xian artifact, he also refined a very difficult Xian artifact. You plan to become an alchemist? Hu Jingxian's charming eyes were filled with surprise. There's no other way. The pills are too expensive. I can't afford it. I can only do it myself. Qin Yin wiped his sweat and said with a smile, It's been hard on you, Elder Hu. This is your reward. Hu Jingxian took the 2 devil-chasing talismans and snorted. You're really something. You actually pull me to do odd jobs. Who told you to be so good-looking? If I refine artifacts with you, I won't be so bored. Qin Yin chuckled. Our Demon Moon Island has many beauties and demonesses like me. Do you want to go? Hu Jingxian flirtatiously flipped her hair. Her silky, charming eyes were filled with affection and captivating. I'm not going. I'm worried that I will die inside. I can't afford so many beauties, Qin Yin said with a smile. Hypocrite. Hu Jingxian spat lightly, opened the door, and walked out. Hu Jingxian obtained the soul-chasing talisman and left in a hurry. Qin Yin walked out of the room and listened to Dao Fan's explanation of the Broken Moon mysterious technique with Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan. The Xian ability can release a martial spirit to attack and release a very powerful force. More importantly, he needed to protect his martial spirit and prevent it from being harmed. After Qin Yin finished listening to the lesson, he hurriedly returned to his room. His sun-moon divine bowl was finally filled with sun and moon essence dew. He took out 2 flower pots. The flower pots were specially refined royal-grade spirit artifacts, and the soil used in the flower pots was also cultivated spirit soil. There was also a special space in the flower pot for purple coins to provide energy to the Xian flower. Qin Yin carefully dripped the essence of the sun and moon into the flower pot and watered the 2 Xian flowers. Not long after, the originally poor complexion of the Xian flower gradually released a beautiful aura. It became full of spiritual energy and recovered its vitality. As expected of a divine artifact, Qin Yin looked at the sun-moon divine bowl and said in pleasant surprise. After the 2 flowers recovered, Qin Yin carefully plucked them off. There were still roots. As long as he continued to water them with the essence of the sun and moon, he would be able to make the flowers grow again. Qin Yun followed the instructions in the mysterious pill scripture and placed the 2 flowers into the 2 boxes. Then, he closed the lid and released the flames. He needed to control the flames and gently burn the night lotus and the moon spirit rose. The night lotus needed to be refined into medicinal powder, and the moon spirit rose needed to be refined into medicinal liquid. This process was completed in just 4 hours. Then, he added the Xian beast bone that had been ground into powder. The 3 were mixed together and placed into the furnace. He used his mental energy to control them and fuse the 3 materials together. The key was in the furnace, the process of condensing the pill. Qin Yun was very proficient in controlling fire, and his mental energy was also very strong. Under the pressure of his mental energy, the 3 materials gradually fused together. The moon spirit rose's medicinal liquid had the effect of dissolving and solidifying. Even under the burning of the flames, the mist formed was still an energy that lingered around the outside of the pill, forming a faint silver cyclone. The cyclone slowly rotated and was controlled by Qin Yun's mental energy as it slowly seeped into the pill. After tossing and turning for an entire day, Qin Yun finally refined a bone spirit Xian pill. After so long, I've only managed to refine one. Qin Yun looked at the bone spirit Xian pill and sighed with emotion. In fact, he was very successful because it was his first time refining this pill, and he was able to refine it in a day. Many Xian alchemists would not be able to refine this pill so smoothly for the first time. Of course, Qin Yun's pill formula was different from others. The most important thing were the 2 Xian artifacts. Other people's Xian artifacts only had Xian runes carved on them. As for Qin Yun's 2 Xian artifacts, they had even added star runes and moon runes. The medicinal liquids and powders refined were also very special. After Qin Yun ate it, he realized that the medicinal power of this pill was much better than the one he had eaten before. I wonder how much I need to eat to cultivate a bone spirit. Qin Yun looked at the Sun-Moon Divine Bowl and shook his head with a sigh. The Sun-Moon Divine Bowl gathered the essence of the sun and moon too slowly. It took 10 days to make a bowl. If he wanted to bloom, he didn't know how many bowls of sun and moon essence he would need to water. Qin Yun could only place the Sun-Moon Divine Bowl in the 9-Yang Divine Spirit and use his own body to absorb the power of the sun and moon to condense the essence of the sun and moon. As he thought about the bone spirit Xian pill, he came to the courtyard and saw a youth dressed in white. It was Jianlang. Hall Master Jian, are the people from the Sword Star sect here again? Qin Yun said with a smile. No, Jianlang smiled. I came to find you this time because I want to bring you to the Immortal Weapon City. The Villa Master is there and wants to see the #1 academy in the saber sword attack and defense battle. All right. Qin Yun hurriedly agreed. Among the 5 great immortals, the Immortal Weapon City had the highest level of inscriptions. Chapter 535. Immortal Weapon City is a huge city, and it is also one of the 5 great immortal sections. Unlike other immortal sects, the Immortal Weapon City is open to the public. As long as you meet the conditions of the Immortal Weapon City, you can enter the city. Legend has it that a long time ago, there was a group of soldiers from the Immortal Desolate who lived here and established a city as a logistics base. They were in charge of forging all kinds of weapons to be used in war. And in the middle of the Immortal Weapon City is the camp of the immortal soldiers back then, and now it has become one of the 5 great immortal sections. Mu Feng was in the Immortal Weapon City's Divine Inscription Palace, so Qin Yun wanted to take a look. When Tian Ruling and Yu Wulon learned that they were going to meet the Manor Lord, they were also somewhat excited. It had to be known that Wu Lu was the head of the Saber Sword Villa and the head of the 5 Great Star sects. He rarely showed his face and was always a guest elder in the Immortal Sect. Xiong Dao had said before that the Villa Master of the Saber Sword Villa was a guest elder of the Immortal Weapon City and the Sword Immortal Pavilion. These guest chamberlains were in charge of things that were not convenient for the people from the immortal sex to do. After agreeing to go to the immortal weapon city, Jinlang hurriedly left Sabersword Villa with Qin Yun, Yu Wulan, and Tian Ruling. Jinlang's flying magic treasure was a flying tiger puppet. The flying tiger puppet was 10 or so meters long and had a pair of massive wings. Its body was hollow inside, and it was split into 2 levels. There were some chairs and tables. The first floor was made up of chairs, and the second floor was made up of several small rooms. During long-distance flights, they would need to rest or cultivate in their rooms. Yu Wulan sat on a chair and looked outside through the window. She said enviously, "Hall Master Jian, your flying magic treasure is really good. How many purple coins do you need to buy it?" "I don't know either. Anyway, the Manor Lord rewarded me. I asked someone to help me refine it. In terms of value, it's probably worth 1 billion purple crystal coins." Jianlang looked like a youth, but he was actually very old. It was only because he had eaten some miraculous pills that his appearance didn't change. Yu Wulan looked at Qin Yun and said with a charming smile, "Little Yun, do you want to buy one? 1 billion for one. It's too expensive." Qin Yun curled his lips and said, "It's only worth 200 million at most." He was an expert in smithing. As soon as he came up, he roughly understood the structure of this flying magic treasure. This isn't a real puppet because it doesn't even have totem patterns. Unless there's a flying tiger totem or an eagle totem carved on it, then it can be considered a puppet. This flight artifact is only inscribed with royal-grade wind manipulation rune and flight rune. It doesn't have any defense at all, and the materials used are of poor quality as well. I can destroy it with a single punch. Jinlang was slightly taken aback as he looked at Qin Yun in disbelief. "Is this true? When a Manor Master gave it to me, he warned me not to sell it for less than 1 billion purple crystal coins. The construction cost is less than 100 million. Even if you were to sell it to me for 200 million, I wouldn't even want it." Qin Yun said with a look of disgust, "I admit that a golden tiger with a pair of big wings is indeed very domineering, but it's just for show. You know how to forge?" Jianlang had used it for a long time, but he did not discover anything. "I know a little bit, but I don't understand. Were you tricked, or was it the Manor Master who was tricked?" Qin Yun said with a smile, "This thing is really not worth 1 billion purple coins." Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan had originally thought that this flying magic treasure was very powerful. Now that Qin Yun said that, they began to despise it. They believed Qin Yun's words because Qin Yun's artifact forging skills were very strong. "I want to ask the Manor Master." Jianlang's face was filled with displeasure. "Back then, I made a great contribution, and he actually gave me such a scammer. Hall Master Jian, don't tell me that little Yun told you. This will make the Manor Master unhappy." Yu Wulan asked with a smile, "All right, Hall Master Jian, what great contribution did you make back then?" "When I went out to train, I picked up a large meteorite and obtained 1,000 genes of space shinstones. I was young and ignorant at that time, so I handed it over." Jianlang curled his lips and said, "Only later did I find out that a gene of space shinstones is worth 50 million purple coins. That's 50 billion purple coins. What a huge loss." Yu Wulan covered her mouth and laughed. "Hall Master Jian, with your contributions, you should at least obtain a set of Tao artifacts. Sabersword Villa gave you this broken, flying tiger magic treasure." Qin Yun was the clearest about the significance of the 1,000 genes of space Xian stones. There's also a pill. It said that it's a royal grade earth pill. After I ate it, I became like this and maintained my youthful appearance. Because Jianlang was able to cultivate his origin sword, he did not have much of a pursuit for Tao artifacts. With his cultivation at that time, to be able to obtain a flying tiger worth 1 billion was quite domineering. Along the way, Jianlang was extremely depressed. Qin Yun secretly regretted telling Jianlang the truth about the flying tiger magic treasure. After flying for a few days, they arrived outside the immortal weapon city. Outside the city, one could see many tall towers in the city. Towers that were hundreds of meters tall, filled the interior of the immortal weapon city. Some of them were snow white, like ice buildings. Some of them were completely black, as if they were made of hard black iron. There were all kinds of buildings. It could be seen that there were many people inside the immortal weapon city. What are the conditions to enter the city? Qin Yun asked. You have to have status. You are all disciples of the Saber Sword Villa. There is no problem with your identity. Jianlang said. Then, you have to register your purple car number. What's the point of registering? Qin Yun said. Can we not register? The main purpose of registration is to collect taxes. If there is a change in the amount of purple coins on the purple crystal card and a transaction occurs, the Divine Inscription Palace will record it. If you don't pay taxes, you can't leave the city. If you don't register a purple crystal card, you can't trade in the city. If my purple crystal card is registered, if I transfer purple coins to an unregistered purple crystal card, I will be discovered by the Divine Inscription Palace. I will be responsible for paying that tax. If you don't want to register your original purple crystal card, you can get a new one when you enter the city. Qin Yun had billions of purple crystal coins in his purple crystal card. He did not want to expose his wealth. How much tax do you usually have to pay for transactions? Yuan asked. 30%. If you're in 1,000 purple coins, you have to pay 300. This tax is split between the Divine Inscription Palace and the Immortal Weapon City. Jianlang sighed and said, Now you know why the Immortal Sect is so powerful. It's because they are very rich. Why are there so many people squeezing into the city? Tian Ruling looked at the densely packed buildings and said doubtfully, I don't like this kind of environment. It's too crowded. I like places with mountains and rivers. Saber Sword City is pretty good, because there is something called the Immortal Origin in the Immortal Weapon City. Inside, you can absorb the 9 suns, spiritual energy, mixed with immortal energy. As for what use it has, it varies from person to person. In short, this is the reason why the Immortal Weapon City can prosper for so long. Jianlang looked at the city gate and said, Are you ready to register? Once a purple crystal card is registered, even if a transaction occurs outside the city, you will have to pay taxes when you enter the city. Otherwise, you will be prohibited from entering the city by the Immortal Weapon City. I'll get a new one. Qin Yun did not want to expose his wealth. To enter the city, he had to pay 100,000 purple coins. It was said that the Immortal Weapon City was the #1 city in the Proud Star State. A large number of the elites of the Proud Star State were gathered here. Qin Yun applied for a new purple crystal card. This purple crystal card and his identity card needed to be dripped with blood. This way, when he entered and left the city, even if he changed his appearance, he would still be discovered. Since he was a martial monarch at the Xian martial realm, his identity would be strictly examined when he entered the city. You guys are only here to play and not to earn purple coins, so you don't have to worry about being taxed too much. Jianlang laughed. Jianlang had been here many times, so he was very familiar with this place. As soon as he entered, he immediately called for a flying car. Then, he transferred 1,000 purple crystal coins into the purple crystal card of the flying car. Only then could he control the flying car. These flying cars were all released by the Immortal Weapon City, and there were a lot of them. After entering the city, he could only use the flying magic treasure of the Immortal Weapon City. The feeling that the Immortal Weapon City gave Qin Yun, other than being spectacular, was that it knew how to earn purple coins. As long as he entered, the Immortal Weapon City would always have a way to squeeze out purple coins. Jianlang brought Qin Yun and company to a medium-sized inn to stay. He needed to contact the Manor Lord before they could meet up. The Immortal Weapon City was still relatively large. There were more than 10 gates, and the number of martial artists was over 100 million. After resting for a night, Jianlang contacted the Villa Master. He was in the Southern Inscription Palace Hall. There were also many large and small Inscription Palace halls in the Immortal Weapon City. The Southern Inscription Palace Hall was the largest in the Southern District. Qin Yun did not know which Inscription Palace Hall Mu Feng was in. Jianlang called for a flying car and brought Qin Yun, Tian Ruling, and Yu Wulan to the Southern Inscription Palace Hall. After flying for half a day, they finally arrived at the Southern Inscription Palace Hall. This hall was a giant tower. It was several hundred meters tall, and it was extremely imposing. On the first floor, there was a very noisy lobby where all sorts of transactions and things were happening. Qin Yun and company followed Jian Lang and arrived at a relatively gorgeous lobby on the second floor. There were hundreds of people here. However, the people here were all dressed in gorgeous clothes. Most of them were martial masters of the spirit martial realm and martial monarchs of the Xian martial realm. There were also some young juniors who followed their elders. The moment Qin Yun entered, he saw Mu Feng. Mu Feng, the fatty, was dressed in a green, luxurious robe. He was dressed like a noble as he leaned on a comfortable animal skin chair and ate the snacks and fruits that had been served. "My friend is over there. I'll go greet him," Qin Yun said to Jian Lang before walking over. Mu Feng looked at a rusty dagger as he ate. He was extremely serious. Qin Yun walked over and patted his head from behind. Mu Feng immediately became angry and hurriedly stood up. "Why are you here?" Mu Feng had previously told Qin Yun to come to the Immortal Weapon City to play. He never expected Qin Yun to arrive so quickly. When Mu Feng saw that Jian Lang was also here, he roughly guessed that Qin Yun was here to meet the Villa Master of Sabersword Villa. "Let's talk somewhere else. We have something to discuss." Mu Feng waved at Jian Lang from afar and hurriedly pulled Qin Yun out of the hall. Chapter 536. Star-Lord Mu Feng smiled and ordered many good dishes to entertain Qin Yun. "Fatty Mu, what were so many people doing in the lobby just now?" Qin Yun asked curiously. "Haha, the War of the Southwest. Western Inscription Palace and Southern Inscription Palace are fighting. I am here to watch the show." Mu Feng chuckled. "So you are not from the Southern Inscription Palace?" Qin Yun also ate the delicious dishes in big mouthfuls. "I am from the Eastern Inscription Palace. My mission here is to fan the flames and make them fight to the death. Then, the business of our Eastern Inscription Palace will be much better." Mu Feng smiled treacherously. Qin Yun was not surprised that there would be internal strife in the Divine Inscription Palace. There were so many capable people in such a huge faction. No one was willing to submit to anyone. It would be strange if they did not fight. "I'm here to see our Sabersword Villa's Villa Master. I really don't know why we're meeting here." Qin Yun curled his lips. "Your Villa Master seems to be a guest elder of the Southern Inscription Palace. It's normal for him to appear here. I reckon that this Villa Master plans to let you 3 stronger martial Dao Realm disciples fight for face." Mu Feng shook his head and said, "I have to say, the Southern Inscription Palace is weaker than the Western Inscription Palace. This time, the Southern Inscription Palace will definitely suffer a loss." When Qin Yun heard this, he knew that the Villa Master had other motives for bringing them here. He didn't just want to see them. "All right, who asked us to be disciples of the Sabersword Villa? If the Villa Master wants us to help, we can't not help." As long as he did not risk his life, Qin Yun did not think much of it. "Qin Yun, I just received a piece of news. It's related to Inscription Spirit." The reason why Mu Feng brought Qin Yun here was to discuss this matter. "What news?" asked Qin Yun. "That Inscription Spirit is called Star-Lord. As long as you obtain it, you can easily carve star runes." Mu Feng said with a smile, "This is an Inscription Spirit that the moon has absorbed for many years. This Inscription Spirit fell into the remote Moon Mountain range and was obtained by Yang Shiryu. Now, many experts from various powers are searching for Yang Shiryu in the remote Moon Mountain range." Mu Feng's words made Qin Yun stand up abruptly. Yang Shiryu had indeed obtained the Inscription Spirit, but her current situation was not good. Yang Shiryu is not even at the Spirit Martial Realm. For her to be able to obtain the Inscription Spirit is truly surprising. Mu Feng sighed. "That kind of thing is of great significance to us Inscription Masters, but it was obtained by her. What's the situation inside the remote Moon Mountain range?" Qin Yun wanted to immediately go over and take a look. The remote Moon Mountain range is more dangerous. There are countless mountains in the mountain range, and half of those mountains are soaked in water. They're a combination of water and mountains. There are many powerful mountain beasts and also water beasts. Mu Feng said, "If you really want to go in, now is not the time." Qin Yin sat down and was secretly worried. He asked, "Why isn't it the right time?" "Yang Shi, you must be hiding very well. You shouldn't have to worry. Moreover, she is a disciple of the Nethermoon Palace." Mu Feng poured a cup of wine for Qin Yin and continued, "What is more important to you is how to enter the immortal sect. Entering the immortal sect is too important for you. It will allow you to break through to the spirit martial realm even faster. Do you remember Lu Chongsheng? That guy is now a martial master of the spirit martial realm and has become a main sect disciple. I also know the importance of entering the immortal sect, but it's not easy to enter." Qin Yin also wanted to enter a better immortal sect, but it was not easy at all. "Qin Yin, there is a great opportunity right now. This immortal weapon city is different from the other immortal sections. Sometimes they will also openly select some disciples to join." Mu Feng picked up his chopsticks and said, "The 5 great immortal sects have joined forces with our divine inscription palace to open a desolate domain. This desolate domain is rather special. Only martial Tao realm cultivators can enter. I heard that this is the lair of a group of ancient heavenly beasts. There are many heavenly beasts inside, such as heavenly lions, dragons, phoenixes, cheilants, and so on. Furthermore, there are some treasures related to heavenly beasts." Qin Yun's eyes widened as he looked at Mu Feng. He was very surprised by this. Mu Feng chuckled. "All the immortal sects want these things, so they need to send some powerful martial Tao realm cultivators in. If your villa master recommends you to enter, if you can get good things for the immortal weapon city, you might be able to enter the immortal weapon city sect. Your Saber Sword Villa's villa master is a guest elder of the Sword Immortal Pavilion, Immortal Weapon City, and the Southern Inscription Palace. He definitely has a way to get you into the immortal sect." Qin Yin nodded. This was indeed a good opportunity. Mu Feng and Qin Yin were eating and drinking in the private room upstairs. However, the lobby downstairs was bustling with noise and excitement. Mu Feng, who was originally planning to watch the show, seemed to have forgotten about this matter. Jin Lang asked Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan in a low voice, "Is there any way to contact that little brother of yours?" Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan shook their heads. "The villa master is here," Jin Lang said in a low voice before walking towards a white-robed old man. The white-robed old man was very tall. He had a child's face and white hair. He had a kind face and a short sword hung from his waist. This kind-looking old man was the villa master of Saber Sword Villa, Chu Binyu. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling hurriedly walked over and greeted Chu Binyu in a low voice. Chu Binyu nodded with a smile on his face. "Chu Binyu, I've finally met you. Is your Saber Sword Villa's Qin Yin here?" A golden-robed old man suddenly asked in a loud and angry voice. "Who are you?" Chu Binyu's face was filled with doubt. Although his voice was hoarse, it was filled with gentleness. Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling were both surprised. They never expected the villa master of Saber Sword Villa to look so benevolent. "I am Swordstar Sect's Yang Xiangjin. Yang Yinxing is my son." Qin Yin used a powerful Dao tool to capture him. "I'm here to find you for him." Yang Xiangjin had a fat head and big ears. His face was covered with a white beard. He looked valiant and had a ferocious aura. Chu Binyu smiled. "And I'm really sorry. When I see Qin Yin, I will definitely discuss this matter with him." "Discuss? You should just let him go," Yang Xiangjin said angrily. "That won't do. Back then, your son wanted to kill Qin Yin first. It's natural for Qin Yin to capture him. If Qin Yin were to let go of someone who wanted to kill him, it would indeed not be appropriate." Chu Binyu's voice was gentle as he slowly said. The people in the lobby all looked at Chu Binyu and the others. When they saw Tian Ruling and Yu Wulan, 2 beautiful women dressed in black, they also guessed their identities. They just felt that it was strange that Yu Wulan and Tian Ruling had come, but Qin Yin did not. "Everyone else, stop messing around. Today is a duel between our Western Inscription Palace in the Southern Inscription Palace. If you have anything to say, we'll talk about it another day. A bald old man with white eyebrows and black armor led a group of people into the spacious lobby. There were more than 1,000 people in the lobby, but it was still very spacious and did not make people feel crowded. The people from the Southern Inscription Palace were already here. When they saw the group of black armored people from the Western Inscription Palace arrive, their faces were immediately filled with hostility. Yang Xiangjin of the Yang family also heard the news and learned that Chu Binyu was here. That's why he rushed over. He did not know about the conflict in the Southwest Inscription Palace. When Yang Xiangjin saw Chu Binyu together with the people from the Southern Inscription Palace, he was secretly surprised. He did not expect Chu Binyu to have such a good relationship with the Divine Inscription Palace. Just now he yelled at Chu Binyu. It was indeed too rash. Chu Binyu was easy to talk to. If it was someone else, they would definitely drive Yang Xiangjin out. Chu Binyu, are you also participating in this fight? The bald old man from the Western Inscription Palace asked with a sneer. I am a guest elder of the Southern Inscription Palace. Naturally, I have to contribute my strength. When the time comes, I ask everyone to give way. Chu Binyu said with a very polite smile. Is there no inscription master in the Southern Inscription Palace? You actually invited a guest elder. The bald old man's laughter was full of ridicule. The people from the Southern Inscription Palace are very angry. Don't be angry because there is something that will make you even angrier. Your Southern Inscription Palace occupies such a large area, but you can't provide high-quality talismans, materials, and various weapons. We can't stand it anymore. We must let the people in the Southern District know how bad your Southern Inscription Palace is. The bald old man is from the Western Inscription Palace. There are fewer people in the Western District, and their business is also very poor. The Southern District is relatively large. There are many people, and the business is very hot. However, the overall strength of the Southern District is relatively weak, so it is targeted by the Western District. Bald old man, you said that the level of inscription in our Southern Inscription Palace is not as good as you? A middle-aged man said with a dissatisfied face. It's not inferior. It's far inferior to us. The bald old man said very confidently. If you don't agree, then let's compete. Only Chu Binyu was not angry in the Southern Inscription Palace. He still had a kind smile on his face and said, How do you want to compete? Let's compete on two basic levels, material refining and inscription finesse. The bald old man touched his bald head and smiled proudly. When my granddaughter comes, she will compete with you. Your granddaughter? Chu Binyu frowned slightly and asked, Is it the little girl who entered the spirit martial realm before she was 20? This sentence suddenly caused a commotion in the lobby. Less than 20 years old martial master. This is simply a genius among geniuses. The bald old man was even more proud and said with a smile, Yes. She is now a main sect disciple of Immortal Weapon City. It turns out that Lu Jingming is the granddaughter of the bald old man. How could the bald old man have such a powerful granddaughter? Did you pick her up? Yes, the bald old man is just like that. It is impossible to have such a good bloodline inheritance. If his granddaughter is also bald, then she is his son's daughter. I heard from the disciples of Immortal Weapon City that Lu Jingming is very beautiful. She is not bald. Everyone suddenly began to talk. The bald old man's face was ugly, and he wanted to beat up these people who talked nonsense. Chapter 537. Immortal Body Qin Yun and Mu Feng came down from upstairs and saw the bald man was furious, cursing those who talked about his granddaughter. This is the second master of Western Inscription Palace, West Wind Bald Man. He is a very interesting character. His granddaughter Lu Jingming is very heaven-defying, 20 years old martial master and Xian inscription master. When Mu Feng talked about Lu Jingming, he could not help but sigh. It was also at this time that a young girl rushed in recklessly, bumping into many people along the way. The girl has a pair of bright and beautiful big eyes, a slightly round face, beautiful and elegant with a bit of innocence. She looks like a very simple girl. She was originally wearing a white dress, but now it is dirty and covered with some mud. When she came here, she saw so many people looking at her, she immediately shyly lowered her head and shrank behind the bald man. Everyone immediately guessed that this is Lu Jingming. When Qin Yun saw Lu Jingming, he could not help but think of the lovely Qi Mei, and a burst of longing surged in his heart. Ming Ming, how did you become like this? After the bald man saw his granddaughter, his originally very evil face suddenly became very kind. His eyes are full of doting. Everyone secretly despised this bald man. He actually has two faces. When I went back to the city, I met some children. They asked me to play with them in the mud. I played with them for a while. Because it was fun, I forgot to come here. Lu Jingming is very low, timid, and soft voice. Playing with mud? Everyone was dumbfounded by this. A less than 20 years old spirit martial realm martial master is actually playing with mud like a child. Bald man, can your granddaughter do it? How come we never knew that she knows the Tao of inscription? A middle-aged man from Southern Inscription Palace said with doubt, "Why not? My granddaughter is a primary Xian inscription master." The bald man suddenly shouted, his face full of arrogance. How many old guys here are hundreds of thousands of years old? They are just spirit inscription masters. After the bald man finished, he touched his little granddaughter and said, "Ming Ming, take out your badge." Lu Jingming is a little shy. She pouted her little mouth and slowly took out a purple gold badge covered with mud. Although it is covered with mud, it is shining with purple gold light. The inscription masters here are all silent. That badge indeed belongs to Lu Jingming. Ming Ming, this is a very valuable thing. Don't play with it in the future. The bald man warned her in a gentle voice. I think it's beautiful, so I took it out for those children to see. Lu Jingming stuck out her tongue slightly. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. Although they hated the baldy, they couldn't hate his silly granddaughter. On the contrary, they liked her a little. The bald old man's face was full of pride as he looked at Chu Binyu. Let's first compete in the production of materials and then compete in the fineness of the runes. Let my granddaughter challenge all the Xian inscription masters of your Southern Inscription Palace. As long as you can win one match, it will be considered your victory. These words were domineering and filled with arrogance, causing the people from the Southern Inscription Palace to feel a great deal of ridicule. If our Western Inscription Palace loses, we are willing to merge with your Southern Inscription Palace. If your Southern Inscription Palace loses, we don't need you to merge with us. We just need to open a branch palace in the Southern District. How about it? The bet that the bald old man said made many people slightly exclaim. In the Immortal Weapon City, there are 4 Inscription Palace. The Eastern Inscription Palace is the strongest, followed by the Northern Inscription Palace and the Southern Inscription Palace. The Western Inscription Palace is at the bottom. If the Southwest and South Inscription Palace merged, it would be the largest inscription palace here. This kind of thing, Chu Binyu can't make the decision. However, an old man from the Southern Inscription Palace nodded in agreement. Then let's start the competition now. First, refine the materials. Within an hour, forge 1 gene of low-grade Xian Yuan steel. Whoever can increase the weight of Xian Yuan steel the most, who wins? We will only send Meng Meng here. You can send anyone on your side. The bald old man is very confident and proudly smiled. On the Southern Inscription Palace's side, there are a total of 6 Xian inscription masters. In addition to Chu Binyu, there are 2 old men and 3 middle-aged men. Qin Yun feels that he is very powerful, but Lu Jingming is even more heaven-defying. She stepped into the spirit martial realm before the age of 20 and is also a Xian inscription master. Xiao Yun, that little girl has a very strong bloodline inheritance and divine ability martial spirit. If I'm not wrong, she is born with an immortal body of fire, and the flame is very strong. Ling Yun suddenly said, Immortal body? What the hell is this? Qin Yun was surprised. Immortal body is the body that can become an immortal. Ling Yun said, the people of Immortal Weapon City can definitely see her physique. There is such a saying. Qin Yun did not expect it. Of course, there are things like sacred body and divine body, but they are even rarer, and they're all evolved from immortal body. Ling Yun said again. Xiao Yun, If you work hard, you may be able to cultivate heavenly lion Xian body. Although Xian body is a relatively poor physique, it can give you a very strong power, and you can evolve into an immortal body. Qin Yin listened to Ling Yun, Er's words, and his heart moved. He wanted to give it a try. If he cultivated that kind of strong physique, it would definitely be of great help to his future cultivation. Start, the bald man shouted. In the middle of the lobby, there is an open space where the Xian inscription masters of both sides are competing. The furnace and forging hammer used are also the same. No one thought that Lu Jingming, who looked silly, actually became very serious and calm when forging materials and seemed to be immersed in it all at once. Lu Jingming's little hand clasped a forging hammer, and when it fell, the hammer overflowed with blue flames. Blue fire. Is it a blue martial spirit? That is a divine ability, martial spirit. Someone shouted. I don't know what kind of divine ability, martial spirit it is. From the momentum, it is not weak at all. The granddaughter of the bald man is really heaven-defying. The blue divine ability fire is very strong. Everyone exclaimed. Chu Binyu and several others were also shocked and suddenly felt a lot of pressure. At the scene, there's been a loud sound of forging. 1 hour is over soon. The old Xian inscription master who competed with Lu Jingming also had some agreement in his heart. They did not expect Lu Jingming to have divine ability fire. Of course, even if Lu Jingming has divine ability fire, if they lose, they will lose very ugly. One must know that these old Xian inscription masters are all very old. Losing to a girl who is less than 20 years old is indeed very shameful. Now, the weight of the Xian Yuan steel began to be weighed one by one. After 2 hours of forging, the half a kilogram of low-grade Xian Yuan steel had shrunk a lot, although it has become smaller. If the person who forged it is powerful, he can make this piece of Xian Yuan steel heavier. The weighing is over soon. Lu Jingming's Xian Yuan steel is 2 Jin 8 Liang, and Chu Binyu and the other older generation, the heaviest one, is only 2 Jin 5 Liang. One must know that they are all powerful martial monarchs or martial kings. In terms of energy intensity, they are stronger than Lu Jingming. In the first round, Lu Jingming won. Those who had doubts about Lu Jingming's strength were shocked at this time and did not say anything more. The next second round is to compare the finesse of the Royal Grade Spirit inscription. Within an hour, carve the same Royal Grade Spirit inscription and compete in finesse. Qin Yun, like many people, is looking forward to the results and seriously looked at Lu Jingming's spear inscription. Because the distance is too far, he can't see the level of finesse and can only wait for the final test. During the competition, the carving knife used is the same. They are all engraved on a piece of Xian Yuan steel plate. In the blink of an eye, an hour passed. Lu Jingming seems to have completed it very easily, then began to test the finesse. The result gave Qin Yin a huge shock. Lu Jingming's finesse is actually 8th level. Chu Binyu and the other older generation also have 8th level finesse. This match is considered a draw. Just with an ordinary carving knife, you can carve 8th level finesse. Qin Yin was also hit hard. He felt that when forging materials, he cannot lose to Lu Jingming. And in terms of finesse, he may at most reach 7th level finesse or even 8th level finesse. According to the bet, as long as the Southern Inscription Palace wins 1 match, they will win. If they can't win 1 match, it is a loss. Several old Xian inscription masters of the Southern Inscription Palace lost the first match to Lu Jingming, but in the second match, they tied. This means that they did not win a single match. Ha! Ming Ming, we won. Our Western Inscription Palace can open a branch in the Southern District. The West Wind bald old man is very happy. He smiled and touched Lu Jingming. At this time, everyone looked at Lu Jingming with eyes full of admiration. Many young talents present also want to marry such a good wife. Motherfucker, the Southern Inscription Palace actually lost. The Western Inscription Palace is going to rise. Mufeng suddenly felt pressure because the Western Inscription Palace will be his competitor in the future. He had originally thought that the two divine inscription palace would fight to the point where both sides would suffer heavy injuries. However, it was not as he had imagined. At this time, suddenly a young man in golden clothes came out with a smile and came to the middle of the competition field. He looked at the bald old man. With a proud smile on his thin face, he said, "I am the son of the Northern Inscription Palace's General Director, Long Yuetao. Our Northern Inscription Palace also wants to experience the exquisite skills of your Western Inscription Palace." When everyone heard this name, they were suddenly surprised. Long Yuetao, isn't this the Medicine Immortal Valley's Xian Inscription Master? At the age of 50, he stepped into the spirit martial realm and became a martial master. He is also a Xian Inscription Master, a first-class genius. I did not expect him to actually appear here. 50 years old and still so young. It is also because he broke through quickly. Long Yuetao himself is a child of the Long family, and his father is the general director of the Northern Inscription Palace. Do you want to compete like this? The bald old man naturally trusts the strength of his granddaughter. The method is the same as before. The bet, as long as you win, your Western Inscription Palace can open a branch in my Northern District. If you lose, you will marry Lu Jingming to me, and your Western Inscription Palace will also merge with us. How about it? Chapter 538. One game to decide the outcome. Hearing this bet, the bald man was slightly angry and said, "I am too lazy to compete with you. Haha, Lu Jingming marrying me is the best choice. In the Immortal Weapon City, no one is worthy of her. If you ruin her, you will regret it." Long Yuetao sneered. This made the bald man even more angry. He looked at Lu Jingming and whispered, "Ming Ming, don't be afraid. We will not compete with him. How about this? If you win, not only can you open a branch in our Northern District, our Northern Inscription Palace will also be closed for a year. How about it?" Long Yuetao said again. It could be seen that he is very persistent in marrying Lu Jingming. "Can you decide this matter?" the bald man asked coldly. Everyone watched quietly from the side, but in their hearts, they felt that a big show was about to be staged. Long Yuetao entered the Medicine Immortal Valley more than 10 years ago, and he was very famous at that time. Even after more than 10 years, many people still remember him. A middle-aged man suddenly came out of the crowd and said with a smile, "Bald man, of course my son can decide this matter. Lu Jingming is from the Immortal Weapon City. My son is from the Medicine Immortal Valley, and they're also young spirit martial realm Xian Inscription Masters. It is not a big deal to let them compete. If you lose, your granddaughter will marry my son. It will not be a loss." The middle-aged man is also wearing a set of golden clothes with a dragon pattern. His face is also somewhat similar to Long Yuetao's. Mu Feng whispered to Qin Yun, "This is the general director of the North Palace Hall, Long Quan, also the youngest general director." When Lu Jingming heard that she's going to marry, she wrinkled her curved eyebrows and puffed her face. Her face was full of reluctance. "We will not compete." The bald man loves his granddaughter very much and immediately refused. "Bald man, isn't your granddaughter very powerful? You actually dare not compete? Ha! This will make your West Palace Hall and Immortal Weapon City a joke." Long Quan laughed mockingly. "No wonder your West Palace Hall is so useless. It turns out to be so cowardly. You deserve to be the worst Inscription Palace Hall here." Long Yuetao laughed. "Bald man, you are really a coward." Lu Jingming, who has been very shy, suddenly shouted loudly, "Scoundrel, you are not allowed to scold my grandfather. I would rather die than marry a scoundrel like you. I won't lose to a scoundrel like you. Haha, come on. I am afraid that your grandfather will not let you compete." Long Yuetao laughed. "Meng Meng, don't be provoked by him. Don't compete." The bald man was very rational in the face of this kind of thing. At that moment, Qin Yun suddenly squeezed through the crowd and arrived at the martial field in the middle. Jian Lang, Yu Wulon, and Tian Ruling were secretly alarmed when they saw Qin Yun appear. Jian Lang wanted to pull Qin Yun back, but he was a step too late. "Long Yuetao, don't bully the little girl. I will compete with you. Qin Yin said, What are you? You want to compare with me? Long Yuedao coldly glanced at Qin Yin and said with disdain, I am not a thing. I am Qin Yin. I have also killed a few people from your Long family. I wonder if I am worthy? Qin Yin smiled faintly. This made everyone suck in a breath of cold air. The influential figure of the Sabersword Villa had finally appeared. This is Qin Yin? Sure enough, he is arrogant. He killed the elder of the Long family and captured the martial monarch of the Yang family. He actually dares to be insolent here. The master of the Sabersword Villa is here. He is naturally not afraid. While everyone was whispering, Yang Xiangjin also walked over. Qin Yin, quickly release my Yang family's Yang Yinqing. Yang Xiangjin shouted angrily. He wants to kill me. I will not let him go, unless you can guarantee that he will not kill me. Qin Yin was not afraid of Yang Xiangjin and calmly replied. At this time, Chu Binyu, the master of the villa, naturally went to protect Qin Yin. Long Yuedao was also secretly surprised. He did not expect Qin Yin to actually come out. He had a good relationship with Lu Chongsheng in the Medicine Immortal Valley and naturally knew about Qin Yin. Yang family people, wait for me to finish with the genius of the Long family. You wait first. Qin Yin finished, looked at Long Yuetao and said, Let's talk about the bet. Yang Xiangjin was angry to the extreme, but when he saw Chu Binyu, his kind eyes flashed with killing intent. He calmed down and walked to the side to watch. Long Yuetao coldly said, You have a Dao tool, I know this. How many do you want to bet? That depends on how many chips you have. Qin Yin smiled. 2 billion purple crystal coins. Is it enough? Long Quan quickly said, Qin Yin's Dao tool is an ancient Dao tool. It is absolutely worth this price. Betting purple crystal coins, isn't it too vulgar? Qin Yin smiled and said, I don't accept purple crystal coins. I will be taxed. Then how do you want to compete? Long Yuedao also wants to get an ancient Dao tool. If it is used for research, the value is still very great. If you lose, you'll become my slave. I'll lose, be your slave, how about it? Qin Yin asked lightly. In the lobby, there was a sudden silence. The bald man and Lu Jingming also looked at Qin Yin in surprise. This kind of competition is really good. This is not good, not good. Long Yuedao quickly said. Oh, you just competed with the little girl. You want her to marry you. Now I want you to be my slave. Why don't you want to? You coward. The face of the entire Medicine Immortal Valley has been lost by you. A coward. You are a spirit martial realm. You don't dare to compete with me. A 9th level martial Dao realm. In this spirit desolate, I am afraid even a smelly mouse is more daring than you. Qin Yin laughed out loud. Everyone exclaimed in their hearts. Qin Yin, are you here to pick a fight? Long Quan suddenly became furious. Qin Yin smiled. Hey, you just forced the little girl to compete with you and said that the little girl is timid and dare not compete. Now it's your turn. How can you be like this? Let's make it a little more ruthless. If anyone loses, who will destroy their own Dao core, how about it? Do you dare to come? Everyone swallowed their saliva and secretly admired Qin Yin's courage. They also understood why he made so many big events. Chu Binyu has always been very interested in Qin Yin, and now he finally saw the power of Qin Yin. Long Yuedao is really afraid. In terms of momentum, he is not as good as Qin Yin. Just now, Long Yuedao was aggressive towards the bald man and Lu Jingming. Now, his momentum has long since disappeared, and he doesn't even dare to say a word. If we win, it's just you, a son of a bitch. That's all. What's in it for us? Long Quan snorted. Qin Yin is not angry. He leisurely said, Well, if I lose, I will destroy my own Dao core and give you 4 ancient Dao tools. If I win, Long Yuedao will destroy his own Dao core. How about it? This is not in line with our interests. Long Quan gritted his teeth and said, You don't dare to gamble. Why are you still talking nonsense? Hurry up and get out of here. Tian Ruling came over and sneered. You only dare to bully the little girl, bully the weak, and fear the strong. Yuelon naturally came over and ridiculed the Long family. The 3 of them are still wanted by the Long family. This is a big enmity. Tian ruling, Yu Wulan. You killed our Long family's disciples. We will settle with you sooner or later. Long Quan said with a cold face. Qin Yun sighed. You quickly give me an answer. Do you want to compete or not? Qin Yun, if you really want to compete, be serious. Long Quan said. I'm serious. I have enmity with your Long family. As long as there is an opportunity to kill your Long family disciples, I will never miss it. Qin Yun said coldly. Long Yuedao said coldly. I am cultivated by Medicine Immortal Valley. Even if I want to bet with you, I have to get the consent of Medicine Immortal Valley. This is also my responsibility to Medicine Immortal Valley. Well, this is a good reason. Qin Yun nodded and said, let's compete. If I lose, I will give you 4 ancient Dao tools. If I win, South Palace Hall and West Palace Hall can open branches in your North District, and your North Palace Hall will be closed for 5 years. How about it? You just want to help South Palace Hall and West Palace Hall to seek benefits? Long Quan is somewhat puzzled. As long as it hurts your interests, it is the biggest benefit for me. Qin Yun smiled. In the long run, helping South Palace Hall and West Palace Hall will be of great benefit to him. Good. You can refine tools? Long Quan agreed. Long Yuedao was also extremely aggrieved. He is a very good main sect disciple of Medicine Immortal Valley, but he was insulted by a martial Dao realm cultivator. The effect that Qin Yun wanted has also been achieved, that is to severely attack Long Yuetao's dignity and make him unable to fight back. Refining tools? Not really. I am learning, but I think my talent is very good. I should be able to win against this dragon. Qin Yun said with a confident face. Mu Feng quickly came up and shouted, Qin Yun, Long Yuetao's level is not low, especially in the finesse, but he is famous for being powerful. Really? Qin Yun has no confidence in the finesse. Fatty Mu, so you know him. Long Quan looked at Mu Feng and coldly snorted. The bald old man also quickly said, Little brother, Long Yuedao is really famous for his finesse. When carving royal grade spirit runes, it is very likely to reach the 9th level of finesse. Competing to carve royal grade spirit runes, this is too cheap. How about we compete to carve totem runes? Qin Yun smiled and said, You have totem runes? Long Quan asked in shock. Golden ape totem obtained by chance? It is not too good. Qin Yun smiled and said, Don't you have totem runes? Ape totem, it is also not bad. Mu Feng exclaimed. He is amazed that Qin Yun has Heavenly Lion totem rune. He also has Golden Ape totem rune. Long Yuedao said coldly, Of course I know how to carve totem runes, but it takes a long time. How about this? We only compete to carve totem runes and use our own carving knife, so that we can save more time. If we carve totem runes, the finesse is the same. Then we compete to refine materials. Yes. Qin Yun had no choice but to do so. His mental resonance Xianpan has Beast King inscription spirit. If he carves totem runes, he will definitely win. This kind of competition is also Ling Yun-er's idea. Chapter 539. Totem competition. Many of the Xian inscription masters here have mastered totem runes, but they are relatively ordinary and mainly used to refine puppets. Long Yuedao is a Xian inscription master, and he knows how to carve totem runes, which is also very normal. And Qin Yun, who is nothing, can actually carve it? This made everyone feel that it was inconceivable. Qin Yun, do you really understand totem runes? Long Yuedao still has some doubts, worried that Qin Yun will cheat. What are you afraid of? Since I have bet, will I go back on it? I'm not like some people. Qin Yun said very confidently. Long Yuedao took out a piece of animal skin and said, Let's carve on the animal skin. The time is 8 hours. It takes a long time to carve totem runes. 8 hours is relatively fast. Good. Qin Yun nodded. Many people saw Qin Yun's confident appearance and could not help but be curious. They only know that Qin Yun is a 9th level martial Dao realm. Even if he understands the Dao of inscription, he is at most a junior spirit inscription master. Only by stepping into the spirit martial realm can one become a high-level spirit inscription master. And like Lu Jingming, It is a very rare situation. Even Long Yuetao became a Xian inscription master in his 50s. Long Yuetao's talent can be regarded as the top. The Long and Yang families hate Qin Yun to the core, especially Long Yuetao and others. They were just insulted by Qin Yun. They were scolded as cowards, and they lost face. Now he has to get back at them. Qin Yun held the mental resonance Xian pen and very smoothly carved the dark lines of the totem runes. Everyone saw that he is so skilled, and they were amazed. Because Qin Yun gives people the feeling that he is an experienced inscription master. However, this drawing speed is too fast. What makes everyone puzzled is that Qin Yun is only 9th level martial Dao realm. He should not have mastered such a brilliant inscription technique. Long Yuetao saw that Qin Yun can carve the dark lines of the totem runes so smoothly. The pressure in his heart is not small. Of course, Long Quan, the general director of the North Palace Hall, the pressure is the greatest. Once their North Palace Hall loses, it is almost finished. Although Yu Tao entered the Medicine Immortal Valley, the Medicine Immortal Valley's inscription technique is very strong. You must know that the Xian tools and Dao tools needed for Medicine Immortal Valley alchemy are also refined by Medicine Immortal Valley themselves. Long Quan said, even Immortal Weapon City does not dare to say that inscription technique surpasses Medicine Immortal Valley. Many onlookers also nodded slightly, agreeing with Long Quan's words. The Divine Inscription Palace is formed by many sects, so there are also many sects forces inside. The Nine Suns sects, as well as some of the superpowers, held the highest authority. The other superpowers were in charge of some regions, and there were all sorts of battles going on. Originally, the Nine Suns sects were the 9 strongest powers in the 9 wastelands. However, because they had been fighting with each other for a long time, many other powers had risen. In order to maintain their rule, the 9 Suns sects roped in many sects or clans to become their subsidiary powers. Many sects and clans seemed to have nothing to do with the 9 Suns sect, but they were secretly inextricably linked. Of course, there are also sects and clans that did not succumb to the 9 Suns sect and secretly developed to become a force that surpassed the 9 Suns sect. In the 9 wastelands, although the visible powerful forces are very large, in the dark, there are many invisible superpowers that secretly rule the world. Like the 5 clans and the Spirit Desolate, they can develop so strong and certainly have a relationship with the 9 Suns sect. Even if they are not affiliated with the 9 Suns sect, they have close cooperation with the 9 Suns sect. Now, there are only 8 9 Suns sect left, and many new rising forces want to become the 9th 9 Suns sect and are working hard for this. When Long Yuetao carved the totem rune, he was not very skilled, so it was very slow. However, he was able to carry on. Long Yuetao originally thought that Qin Yun, who was in his 20s, only had the cultivation of 9th level martial Dao realm. Even if he knew the inscription technique, he would not be able to carve the totem rune. Certainly not as good as him in the spirit martial realm. However, after Long Yuetao glanced at Qin Yun, he found that when Qin Yun was carving the totem rune, his pen was as fast as flying. Qin Yun, are you serious? Long Yuetao looked a little annoyed. You're not teasing us, are you? What if you don't give us the Dao tools? Qin Yun was carving the dark rune, so he could not see what he was carving. He could only see that he was carving quickly. In contrast, Long Yuetao was cautious. The carving knife, sword moved slowly, concentrating. That is the appearance of carving the totem rune. Son of a bitch, shut up, don't disturb my thoughts. Qin Yun snorted. You bunch of cowards, you don't even dare to gamble your life. Why are you talking so much? Long Quan angrily snorted. You obviously have the help of the West Palace Hall, East Palace Hall, and South Palace Hall. If our North Palace Hall wins, even if you cheat, we can't do anything. What? You want to go back on your words now? Tian Rua coldly snorted. How can we go back on our words? Long Quan was furious. You guys are looking down on people too much. Not looking down on you guys, but you guys are all like this. Yu Wulan lightly snorted. While Qin Yun was carving the totem rune, he took out a Dao tool broadsword, threw it at the feet of Long Quan, and said, This is a mortgage. Are you relieved? When everyone saw this, they all stared at the Tao rune on the broadsword. Even Long Quan was a little surprised. Qin Yun actually dared to throw the broadsword directly. Of course, Long Quan did not dare to take this broadsword. Everyone knows that Chu Binyu, the Villa Master, looks kind, but he is very difficult to provoke. The time of the competition is 4 hours. After an hour, Qin Yun finally finished carving the dark rune and began to carve the bright rune. Seeing the bright rune come out, those inscription masters all whispered, "It looks like that is a real totem rune." The outline of the golden ape is gradually revealed by the inscription. When carving the totem rune, how can Qin Yun be so fast? Chu Binyu is not specialized in the Tao of inscription. He is only interested in this aspect. Therefore, he is only a Xian inscription master at his age. But he can also see that Qin Yun's level is not bad at all. Mu Feng already knew that Qin Yun is not simple, but he found that he still underestimated Qin Yun. Jian Lang suddenly remembered that Qin Yun once commented on the flying tiger magic tool. He secretly glanced at the Villa Master Chu Binyu and cursed a few words in his heart. He is very sure that he was cheated by the seemingly harmless Villa Master. "Grandpa, he is so powerful. That totem rune is not easy at all. He can actually carve it so fast." Lu Jingming, who was standing behind the bald old man, is also in a daze. Her cute little face is full of surprise and whispered. The bald old man's impression of Qin Yun is very good. If Qin Yun did not suddenly stand up just now, they would definitely be entangled by the long father and son of the North Palace Hall. 2 hours pass quickly, and there is still half of the time left before the end of the competition. However, Qin Yun has completed it. The mental resonance Xian Pen has the Beast King inscription spirit. Carving beast totem runes and inscriptions is very smooth. Qin Yun deliberately slowed down, otherwise it would be too fast to be common sense. "I am done." Qin Yun looked at Long Yuedao with a smile and said, "Medicine Immortal Valley Genius. You don't have to be too anxious. Take your time." Long Yuedao was hit hard. He is indeed very talented, and his understanding of inscription is very high, but now he is being compared to Qin Yun. "Don't be proud. It mainly depends on the finesse. You carve so fast. The finesse is certainly not high." Long Quan sneered. Qin Yun sat there, looking at the totem rune carved by Long Yuedao, and said, "Your totem rune is very powerful. It is a pig totem. Have you learned it for a long time? What is the specific use? Can you tell us about it?" Everyone is very curious about what Long Yuetao's totem rune is. They did not expect it to be a pig totem. This made many inscription masters suddenly laugh. "Qin Yun, don't bother Yuetao." Long Quan was furious. Qin Yun smiled and did not continue to speak. Long Yuetao sweated profusely and continued. The pig totem that he carved was not very useful. It was mainly used for practice. For those who have just become Xian inscription masters, finding some useless totem runes to practice can also improve their basic level. In the future, it will be much easier to start with high-level and complex totem runes. And like Qin Yun's golden ape totem, it has a high value. A powerful beast totem could also release a very strong power. For hours passed, and Long Yuedao finally finished. It has to be said that the pig totem he carved is also quite good. Now, it is time to test the finesse. Qin Yun, 6th level finesse. The tester is Chu Binyu. Subsequently, the ball man also took out the equipment and came up for the test. It is also 6th level finesse. Long Quan naturally wants to test it himself. Only 6th level finesse? Before Lu Jingming and the old Xian inscription masters, they all have 8th level finesse. Yes, Qin Yun used his own carving knife, and it is only 6th level finesse. It is really bad. With this level, he dares to come out and be arrogant. Long Yuedao won. Our North Palace Hall will usher in a few ancient Tao tools. The people from the North Palace Hall were pleasantly surprised. Everyone also felt that Qin Yun's finesse is too low. Laymen naturally do not know what the 6th level finesse of totem runes means. But the old inscription master knows that it is quite a high level. Long Yuetao's totem rune, 4th level finesse. Chu Binyu shouted happily. Just now, Chu Binyu was worried that Long Yuetao's finesse is very high. He did not expect it to be so much lower than Qin Yun. Qin Yun smiled, picked up the Dao tool broadsword and said, I won. Your North Palace Hall, you have to fulfill your promise. This is a problem. How can your totem rune reach 6th level and so fast? Long Yuetao is very dissatisfied. After Long Quan examined Qin Yun's totem rune, his face was also ugly. There is no problem at all. This spirit desolate is so big. The number of people is innumerable. What's wrong with some geniuses? Aren't you a rare genius? Can it be that only you have talent and others are not allowed to have talent? The bald man said with a smile, because according to the bet, their West Palace Hall can also open a branch in the North Palace Hall. In this way, the biggest benefit is the bald Old West Palace Hall can open a branch in the South Palace Hall and the North Palace Hall. Long Quan calmed down, took a deep breath, and said, Qin Yun, do you dare to compete again? I will compete with you. Chapter 540. Xian Dragon Bloodlong Yuetao lost, and their North Palace Hall suffered heavy losses. Therefore, Long Quan wanted to win something back. What? If it is refining Xian tools, carving Xian runes or something, I can't do it. Qin Yun smiled and said, I am just a beginner in inscription. I will not compete with the difficulty. None of the people present believed his nonsense. How can a beginner carve such a high-precision totem rune? The fineness of totem rune is very difficult to achieve. Because a complex totem rune has a lot of content, to maintain the overall accuracy, it requires a strong foundation. Qin Yun carved Golden Ape Totem Rune, which is relatively complex but still able to maintain a very high degree of fineness. Long Yuetao carved Pig Totem Rune is very easy, but it is only at the 4th level of fineness. Let's compete in material refining, Long Quan said coldly. If you lose, the 4 ancient Dao tools are mine. If you win, I will give you a bottle of inherited Xian dragon blood. Father, isn't the inherited Xian dragon blood for me? Long Yuetao heard and quickly came up. Rest assured, I can win. Long Quan waved his hand and said confidently. Hearing the inherited Xian dragon blood, everyone was amazed. That is a very famous thing of the Long family. It is refined by the secret method of the Long family. As long as you absorb the inherited Xian dragon blood, you can get dragon blood. This is also the pursuit of many Long family children in their life. The most powerful thing of the Long family is the dragon blood inheritance. Like Long Yuetao, he can awaken the dragon blood. He also wants the Xian dragon blood, also to cultivate the Xian dragon body. Xiao Yun, get the Xian dragon blood. It is useful for you. Maybe you can let him cultivate the heavenly lion Xian body. Ling Yun said, the energy contained in the Xian dragon blood is very strong. The heavenly lion blood can also be improved by absorbing it. Long Yuetao saw his father so confident and was relieved. The competition of refining materials is the same as before. Within an hour, forge 1 gene of Xian Yuan steel. Whoever can increase the weight of Xian Yuan steel, who can win? Long Quan said. Qin Yun did not immediately agree. He is only 9th level martial Dao realm. When forging, he is not confident that he can compete with Long Quan. Qin Yun, do you want Xian dragon blood? If you can obtain it, you will be able to obtain the dragon bloodline, which will allow your strength to rise to another level. Long Quan saw Qin Yun hesitating. He knew that Qin Yun's level in forging materials is not very high. Qin Yun asked, when forging, can I use my own forging hammer and furnace? Of course not. Long Yuetao shouted quickly. Everyone knows that Qin Yun has many Dao tools, and among them is a very powerful hammer. If he were to use these Dao artifacts to forge, he would definitely win in the end. Qin Yun said with a frown, I am only at the 9th level martial Dao. It will be too difficult for me to forge Xian Yuan steel. Long Yuetao sneered. Nonsense. If you don't take the risk, how can you get the Xian dragon blood? Everyone knows how precious the Xian dragon blood is. It is equivalent to the bloodline of a dragon. It takes 100 years to refine a bottle of it. There's no market for it. Little brother Qin Yun, you shouldn't compete with them. There is no need to compete with them, the bald man said. Qin Yun, stop competing. No matter how you look at it, they have the advantage. If you're in the spirit martial realm, it's almost the same. Chu Binyu quickly persuaded Qin Yun. Long Yuedao suddenly laughed and said, Qin Yun, are you afraid? You coward. I'm not afraid, but I don't have the strength. I don't need to compete to know that I can't compete with your father. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, if I compete with you, it's almost the same. Long Chuaning became the general manager of the North Palace Hall. He definitely has the strength, and he is also a child of the Long family. He definitely has the dragon bloodline. Ha ha, you don't dare to compete? Long Quan also laughed loudly. Qin Yun suddenly said, let Lu Jingming replace me. Is that okay? Long Quan looked at Lu Jingming and said, yes. As long as she loses, you just have to give me 4 ancient Dao artifacts. Qin Yun smiled and said, well, it's settled. Wait, I want to compete with you, so you can do it. Long Quan suddenly reneged, apparently worried that he would lose to Lu Jingming. When carving totem runes, it is mainly a test of inscription talent and mental power. When forging materials, it is different. The higher one's cultivation, the stronger the energy and the quality of the forged materials will be much higher. Like Chu Binyu, who has cultivation beyond Martial King, but he is the kind of inscription master who does not do proper work, so he is not as good as Lu Jingming. Lu Jingming has the divine flame, and a mysterious power is hidden within it. The materials she forged are better than many Xian inscription masters. Qin Yun is a 9th level martial Dao realm, and it is still difficult to deal with Xian Yuan steel. I don't want to compete. It's too hard to win. Qin Yun thought about it and shook his head. How about this? I will give you 2 hours. I will only use 1 hour. Long Quan is very persistent. It can be seen that he wants to compete with Qin Yun, otherwise the father and son will lose a lot today. Only by winning against Qin Yun can they get back their face and recover some losses. All right then. Qin Yun finally nodded and agreed. Chu Binyu, Mu Feng, and the bald man are very worried that Qin Yun will lose. That's settled. Long Quan smiled. Let's start now. The furnace and forging hammer used are the same. The piece of Xian Yuan steel is also provided. This can prevent cheating. After the start, Qin Yun quickly put the Xian Yuan steel into the furnace to burn. He is also under great pressure. Although his Dao tool is easy to get, but he can't let the Long family get it. Not long after the start, Long Yuedao smiled and said, you may not know, my father has just passed the king-level Xian inscription master assessment. His words made Mu Feng, Chu Binyu, and others stunned. An inscription master who can refine a king-grade Xian tool is also extremely terrible. My father is a VIP elder of Medicine Immortal Valley. Compared to those unorthodox guest elders, I don't know where he is. Long Yuedao looked at Chu Binyu. His voice is full of ridicule. Lu Jingming hid beside the bald man, frowning, clutching her grandfather's clothes, worried that Qin Yun will lose. The bald man whispered, Long Quan, you are a martial king Xian inscription master, competing with a 9th level martial Dao realm kid. Do you think it is glorious to win? Qin Yun's talent is very high. It is not easy to win against him. Long Quan said very seriously. In another 10 or 20 years, he will be able to step into the spirit martial realm. At that time, his level should be similar to mine. Long Yuedao smiled and said, now, he is only a little worse than me, but it is really not easy to win against him. Everyone secretly despised the father and son. When Qin Yun wanted to abolish their cultivation, they were scared like dogs. Now they are so arrogant. Ling Yun'er's voice appeared in Qin Yun's mind. Little Yun, I will let you use the power of Nether Sun. You cultivated my Dao spirit, mainly to guide you to use the power of Nether Sun. The Nether Sun fire you use is not strong enough, Ling Yun'er said. Qin Yun was secretly surprised and quickly talked to Ling Yun. Teach me to release a stronger flame. Your Nether Sun divine ability is devouring power, but you can't control it now, so don't use the power of divine ability for the time being. Ling Yin'er said, Fortunately, you have the tree totem. You can smoothly suppress the Nether Sun martial spirit. Otherwise, when you cultivate the divine ability, it would have been long gone. I know, don't talk nonsense. Qin Yun is very anxious. What are you anxious for? You do as I say and absorb the 9 Sun immortal energy. Ling Yin'er said, This immortal weapon city has immortal origin. It can gather a trace of immortal energy. You gather the immortal energy in the Nether Sun Dao core. Qin Yun quickly followed, and soon sensed the 9 wisps of immortal energy hidden in the 9 Sun spirit energy. He has stayed on the moon and knows what immortal energy is like. Gradually, he gathered quite a lot of people. You used only Nether Sun spirit fire before. Now, I will follow you to control the immortal energy and condense the Nether Sun immortal fire, but only a little bit. This is enough for you to improve the quality of Xian Yuan steel. Ling Yin'er said, You will follow my control? Qin Yun did not understand. I am your Dao spirit. My control is the power of Dao spirit. It is very strong. You relax your whole body. Leave everything to me. Ling Yin'er said. She controlled Qin Yun's Nether Sun martial spirit to absorb the gathered 9 Sun immortal energy. Under the control of Ling Yin'er, the Nether Sun martial spirit condensed a black and white flame, released it from his arm, and shot it into the furnace. Don't move. If this immortal fire gets out of control, your arm will be burned to ashes in an instant. Ling Yin'er very seriously warned Qin Yun. Qin Yun now knows what kind of power his Dao spirit has. It is also very special. It can guide him to use the Nether Sun martial spirit. All kinds of ores in the 9 desolate land are gradually condensed after absorbing the power of 9 suns for many years. Now, the Xian Yuan steel is being softened by the immortal fire and absorbing the energy contained in the immortal fire. The quality is also constantly improving. 1 hour passed, and Long Quan also finished refining the Xian Yuan steel. Although Qin Yun has 2 hours, he is still burning the Xian Yuan steel. My Xian Yuan steel weighs 3 genes. Long Quan laughed. Even Lu Jingmeng, this girl, is only 2 genes and 8 genes. I will win. 1 gene of Xian Yuan steel, after forging, has a weight of 3 genes. This is indeed a very high level. Qin Yun, is there something wrong with you? It's been 2 hours, and you are still burning Xian Yuan steel. If you want to improve the quality, you should forge more. Don't tell me you're so scared that you don't know how to refine the materials. Long Yuedao saw his father has such a high level. He is also very proud. Qin Yun did not speak. He is responsible for absorbing the immortal energy, letting Ling Yin'er control the Nether Sun martial spirit and release the Nether Sun immortal fire. The Nether Sun immortal fire is very weak, only the size of a hair. It is burning around the Xian Yuan steel. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.